Welcome everybody to day number 2 of ReWired Festival, taking place at the University of Arkansas at the Bud Walton Arena. This is the $25,000 Apex Legends Invitational taking place right now. Day number 2, Tom, and I am so excited for today's matches.
I'm stoked. We saw some great starts yesterday, especially from Atlanta Premier. We had ESA really starting to pick it up. Complexity won game number 3. 4 games yesterday on World's Edge. Now we move on over to Stormpoint, and we're going to see what these players are really made of.
Yeah, that's right. We only had 4 matches yesterday. We have 6 taking place today. Let's go ahead and take a look at the format to exactly break it down. And so we do have $25,000 on the line. 3rd and 4th place will be walking away with $3,000 each. 2nd place with $6,000, and that 1st place spot, 13,000 simoleons there. That's going to be an absolutely great payday for whichever team comes up top. Now the format, of course, we have 20 teams competing right now. Many did qualify through our online qualifiers that took place a little bit earlier, a couple months ago. And other teams that were invited and other teams that earned their spot on land. And today's games, well, it's going to come down to points. And we saw yesterday that kill points are going to be super important when it comes to these games. Of course, you will be awarded placement points throughout the matches as well, starting all the way at 15th place with 1 point, going all the way up to 1st, which will net you a 12-point advantage if you end up winning out on that victory. Let's go ahead and talk about the teams that we got to see yesterday, though, Tom. And like you said, ESA, AP, Complexity, those were the 4 teams, or excuse me, the 3 teams that were able to get wins in our matches yesterday. ESA ending up picking up 2 of those.
Yeah, and I'm expecting adjustments to be made overnight, especially when we go and switch maps. So teams like KCP, you saw them on the previous screen, CLG, LG. LG got 2nd place in game number 1 yesterday. I'm expecting E8 and Vizio to make some adjustments as well. It's going to be another very kind of fast-paced lobby. Not as fast-paced as it is on World's Edge because Stormpoint is the largest map that we have in competitive. So it's going to slow down in that type of sense, but expect a lot of aggression, a lot of fights being taken, and a lot of kill points on the board.
Yeah, a lot of teams playing for that edge, really looking for those fights consistently. And it was almost every team. Fairly few teams were actually playing center zone throughout our matches. I mean, LG was definitely one of those squads that was looking for a little bit more consistency, and they found it, ending up in overall 3rd place. Let's take a look at the standings to make sure we get a complete understanding of where we're starting off today. We had 4 matches yesterday, like we said, taking place on World's Edge. We'll be starting off 4 matches on Stormpoint, and then we'll be moving on to finish off the day 2 points on World's, 2 matches once again on World's Edge. But these are the standings right now, our bottom 10 teams. It starts off with X-Rocker there down in 11th place, but taking a look at the top 10, it's ESA, Vizio, and LG currently in the top 3, and Atlanta Premier and Foot Esports currently tied for 4th place. Remember, only the top 4 pay out.
You can kind of see the tiers of where that kind of falls off too, right? Right around that 7th place mark with 35 points. And then you have KCP and Mystic right over there. And then on that 2nd page, You have a chance if you're on this, screen no matter what. But there's a huge drop-off in discrepancy between those top 7 teams. So if you are not in that area, the best thing you can do is have a good start. Again, we got 6 games today, so it's completely feasible. And some teams tend to, be a little bit stronger at Storm Point than compared to World's Edge. So when we go in and we talk about compositions, again, we're still going to be seeing a lot of Horizon. We're still going to be seeing a lot of Valkyries, a lot of Seers overall. But I really feel like Bangalore is another one of these legends that we could see today, especially maybe if CLG, which has ran that in the past, could see some success on that. I think we've seen Vizio rock double scan in the past too, so maybe some Bloodhound, Seer, Horizon coming in for them. Again, with Storm Point being such a large map, even though Valkyrie did have the nerfs, still a very high pick rate. Almost, I would say 9 out of 10 teams in this lobby specifically are going to be using Valkyrie. But I'm excited to see what the adjustments are for the teams that didn't succeed yesterday. Again, those teams on the right-hand side, right? KCP, CLG. Those are squads that have a very high skill level, but we didn't really see their ceiling yesterday.
Yeah, for complexity, to find themselves as high as they did really bounces off of their Game 3 victory where they had a 16 kill win, 28 points. That's 28 out of their 39 points. So an absolutely massive boon. We can see why just one good game like that can absolutely sway your trajectory in the tournament. We have 6 games today, and now one thing we also have to consider is that this is also a LAN. Our competitors are playing in person, and for some, this is their first time ever competing in person as well. So the LAN jitters is a factor to absolutely consider.
Yeah, don't spill your drinks on the keyboard though. That's the number one thing. You see someone at the bottom of the screen sipping, got to be careful there. We got someone with the mouse right next to their water bottle. If I'm sitting to the right and I'm on CLG, I'm like, bro, move your water bottles, all right? We need to get serious here. I don't want you messing up my setup, all right? Keep it clean over there.
Yeah, our competitors are absolutely packed in there, and they are ready to go. 20 teams currently competing right now. It's really great to see because we have such great representation throughout all of that. If I'm correct, I think I actually spot a James Lopez down there as well. Esports Arena staff showing up for this one. Absolutely love it. But again, talking about the kind of diversity that we have right now in this competition, it's not just North American teams. And speaking of North American teams, we have great representation from south of the border down in Mexico, coming out from LG and multiple other players. We've got Girls Got a Game as well. We got EU representation coming out from squads like KCP. This is such a wonderful performance.
It's just awesome seeing everyone getting together too and kind of sharing their love for video games, esports, Apex for each other, etc. Because again, we talked about this with the long break that we had. With COVID, we weren't able to get together and do these things, and that's what gaming is all about. It's about bringing everybody together, even though it's a competition. Everybody, again, sharing their love for Apex, and it's just so awesome to see. So again, shout out to everybody that's been involved in the tournament. Shout out to ESA, our partners, Walmart, and Monster Energy for helping make this thing happen.
Yeah, and of course, I just got a huge shout out to all of our partners that made this happen. Monster, Cheez-It, Mondelez, PlayStation, Nintendo, X-Rocker, Keebler, and BioTrue. Of course, everyone that helped out for our gaming setups for a LAN like this: Microsoft, Razer, Samsung, and PowerA, making all of this possible. $25,000 on the line, 6 matches left to make it happen. This is going to be an absolutely absurdly fun day of Apex Legends. We had some great moments yesterday as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the replays from yesterday's matches. We only had 4 matches taking place on World's Edge, and it was an absolute massacre.
Yeah, this was a pretty interesting ending right here. You had Atlanta Premier sitting on the bottom hand side, and they're rocking Horizon, but these Arc Stars over towards the door is what really kind of pushed LG back, because now they have to come in at that exact moment, and Vizio completely understands what the assignment is. They need to try to do as much damage as possible, try to secure second place. And then LG almost gets this armor swap. Jamerson, you were mentioning this yesterday. If Jaguars is able to go and hit this armor swap, this fight is a lot closer, because you can see there are some knocks. Hill gets knocked right there. It's a 2v1 in the final moment, and Atlanta Premier with some great timing. Unfortunate for LG because they waited that one out for so long.
Yeah, and this is why Esports Arena kind of showed their dominance. Game number 2, this is where it all started for them, getting that win in game number 2 with an 11 kill game as well. This was just a nice position that they were able to take. I believe we had Team Aurora that was playing these rocks beforehand, and as soon as Aurora moved off to try and get some loot, ESA swooped in to take the God spot away from them. But throughout all of this, you can see Atlanta Premier playing as a 2-man. This is the second great game for them, starting things off as that 2-man. They were able to try and rat this one out, and it's ESA going for the full send onto Foot Esports.
This was a pretty long fight. You know, you could see how long this final moment actually really is. There's multiple engages and disengages. And Atlanta Premier, if they could have got a little bit luckier and got some knocks early on between these two teams fighting, they would have been in a very good spot. But you could see Foot ends up going down. Crook and Hill do a great job as a duo staying off of the Seer ultimate, staying off of the scans, but ESA is just too strong in that final moment.
Yeah, this was that game 3 victory for Complexity where they had 16 kills in this game. Just a fantastic finish for them. This was another moment where we had a duo versus 2 trios that kind of shake things up. I believe it was Team Vizio as that third, and it was again Esports Arena caught in this kind of in this moment here. But Phonyhead ends up being the last remaining member. Vizio is able to survive until top 2, and that's one of the reasons why Vizio finds themselves currently in second place right now. It's consistency. A 3rd place finish and 2 second place finishes for them really keeps them competitive and almost going toe for toe with ESA.
Yeah, this was a pretty interesting scenario because Complexity timed this perfectly, and ESA makes a minor mistake by not eliminating Vizio and at least picking up those 2 extra kill points. I mean, Jamerson, that's a 5-point differential right there that ESA could have had, and we'll find out if that comes back to bite them monetarily when we talk about what they could potentially make. Vizio, again, like you said, finding themselves inside of another top 2 scenario. But we got to give shout outs to the duos. Look at how every single replay we've had so far has faced or has shown a duo facing off against multiple trios or a single trio right here. So it's completely possible, even if you lose out on one teammate, to pick up some good points.
But this was Esports Arena in game number 4, our final game of day number 1. Just able to just kind of finish things off with dominance. And honestly, it's so important for them because starting off today with 6 games left to go, they have a 21-point lead over Team Vizio right now, who are currently in second place. That's basically a full game lead that they're going to be starting off the day. So if we kind of take a look at today as kind of just a fresh start, and today is the actual tournament, they are starting off with an immense lead. So that's going to be super important going on to the day. Like you said, though, maybe the small difference there, that 5-point swing in game number 3, if that comes back to bite them, you know that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. They're going to be talking about it in their VOD reviews. It's like, hey, we got to be able to take these fights faster. It's a 3v2. We can't be losing that.
And you have to consider what the point total is going to be to finish inside of the money here, or what the overall point total is going to be for the winner. So you could say, all right, 4 games, around 60 points is what ESA has. We're looking at 100 points to get inside of the money, or maybe around 120 or even more points because we have 6 games that's going to be played today. That's what first place is going to be around. So you could start kind of doing the math, figure out what type of play style you want to bring to the table. I'm expecting just a lot of aggression. Again, a lot of teams going at it. We may see a lot more 50-50s than we saw yesterday. I think we only had 1 or 2 50-50s. But once those first fights start happening, teams aren't even really looting right now. They're taking, their loot, and then they're just running to the next POI to kind of brawl it out. And in Stormpoint, you don't have to worry about getting third party as much as we saw in World's Edge. But there was, a lot of great things that we saw throughout those replays. And again, the main thing is, if you lose out on a teammate, you're completely okay just as a duo. It doesn't really matter even what 2 legends you're realistically playing. If you don't have your Valkyrie, it's going to be okay. But I really thought that there's a lot of squads that did a great job in terms of playing their play style yesterday, and that's the teams that are sitting over towards the top. So when we talk about the teams I mentioned previously, Complexity, they did win the game, game number 3, but they never really had multiple pop-off moments. So they just need to string some things together. And I love once they made their adjustment to get off of Newcastle and play a more aggressive style. That's really what it's about. It's about what the conversations were last night, what they learned from these first 4 games, and that's what these players do so well, is make adjustments game after game. If you give them a whole night, they're going to come out with some really good strategies.
Yeah, speaking to the point for Complexity, 38 of their 39 points came from 2 games. So that means 1 game they bricked, and the other game they only got 1 point. And so, yeah, if they can find some more consistency, across the day, I feel they will be in a much better place. But this is going to be awkward because we are starting off on Stormpoint. It's going to be kind of the same thing that we had when we started the games yesterday on World's Edge. everyone's kind of getting introduced to each other once again. Everyone's going to have to establish their landing spots on Stormpoint, so we have to expect a lot of 50-50 fighting. What do you think are going to be some of the more popular POIs to see contested in our first few games of Stormpoint, Tom?
Jokes on them, though. We love awkward. So, I think it was Telly yesterday saying that we're all a little awkward out here with the amount of hours that we're putting in towards gaming. But in terms of answering your question, Jamerson, it's going to be tough to say realistically. I think that, if you do your research, you're going to realize that the pros kind of, go towards certain areas and they're going to, have and claim those areas. But I always feel like middle is a highly contested spot because those 4 bins in the middle are going to always have great loot. You're going to immediately be walking away with a purple and 2 blues. It's a fast POI to go and loot. It's an easy fight. You don't really get third partied unless we're talking about teams coming over from down beast. I think Cenote is another spot that could end up getting contested. Antenna, because it's fairly central and it's got some pretty good loot. The wall is always really interesting because sometimes you have teams that land on the outside of the wall and a team will even go on the inside of the wall right there and take that. The loot may not be as high tier as say like the mill or other spots, but I feel like those are spots to look out for.
Yeah, those are where we've seen a lot of the fighting also taking place in qualifiers and challengers, everything so far over the last few months, especially with Stormpoint rearing its head in competitive. Super excited for that. Right now, we are just waiting on one last player before we get our games started today for the Road to ReWired tournament, $25,000 Apex Legends LAN Invitational. And as soon as we do, we will get things underway. Currently, right now, our top 4, it's going to be Esports Arena, Vizio, LG, and of course Foot Esports and Atlanta Premier actually currently tied for 4th place with Complexity right behind. So extremely close running amongst our top 6. It's about a 25 point difference between those squads, or 27 point difference between those squads, first all the way down to 6th. So anything can happen today. We'll see if Esports Arena can maintain their consistency. They did not have a finish below 4th place and no less than 6 kill points every single game, Tom.
And really, when the teams, that we're looking at right here, you got to look out for Foot Esports and for LG, because while Foot was being extremely consistent, I felt like LG was silently going up and handling their business. And we didn't really talk about them enough. Yeah, they got 2nd place in game number 1, and they continue to do really well. But when you look at how much we saw, Esports Arena and Vizio's screens, they were really the teams that we were looking out for. And LG slowly started to just go up on their incline. And with 10 games, it's not really a sprint, it's a marathon. So I really like the way that LG is playing. I think that they have a really solid chance. They got a lot of support in the chat room as well. When we look at Atlanta Premier, it's a little bit heartbreaking for them to have such a great start, really set the pace, and then kind of fall off the next 2 games. But realistically, they were taking some fights, right around their POI, and they didn't, I would say 3 out of the 4 games, Jamerson, they didn't even really get out of staging. So that's not their style. And I feel like if they can go around and, run around the map and get more opportunities, take more fights, they're a very strong team fighting team. And they're really great at playing these end circles, putting themselves in position while getting kill points along the way. That's what I'm looking for Atlanta Premier. I want them to kind of move around more, take advantage of the map and what's being in front of them, and see what they can do with that. And then when we look at teams like E8, KCP, and again CLG, teams to watch out for in terms of on the second half of this page, I really think that CLG is a strong Stormpoint team. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, going back to that Atlanta Premier team, it's very similar to what happened to Complexity. 2 out of their 4 games, that's where they got almost all of their points. And the last 2 games of the day for Atlanta Premier, coming up with those big donuts. I mean, you were talking about it, right? Marathon versus sprint. It was definitely looking like Atlanta Premier went for that sprint first, kind of got gassed in the second half. We'll see, though, if they can turn things around. This is a squad that we know that when it comes to tournament days, they will show up. It's going to be a regular 6-game set, and it looks like it is going to be finally starting now. Heading into Stormpoint for game number 5 of the tournament, but the first one of the day. Let's take a look at some of the legend selects that's coming out, and I don't think we're really surprised seeing that the vast majority of it is going to be that Valk, Seer, and Horizon, but we are seeing some Watson and some Newcastle coming in.
Yep, I'm going to pause this so I can see exactly what the particular setup is going to be for even like CLG. So CLG is not going to end up going with Bangalore, which is going to be pretty interesting. They have switched off over that over the last month or 2, but it is exactly what we predicted. A lot of Seer, a lot of Horizon, a lot of Valkyrie. You got UA, they're bringing out the Caustic. Another University of Arkansas team is going to be rocking the Bloodhound. We have an Ash on Team Salmon, which I feel like that's very strong. Only 1 or 2 Newcastles inside of this lobby. So when you look at this meta that we're in right now, this composition reigns supreme overall, and there's a reason we talked about that. The amount of information, the kits that you have from each one of these legends that you're getting when you talk about infiltrating buildings, nothing is better than Valkyrie in terms of trapping players inside and trying to exploit their weaknesses.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these teams are expecting this to be, of course, very kill heavy, kill forward coming into these games, but it's not kind of really mirroring kind of that Furia meta, where Furia are succeeding off of 20 kill games and such, and consistent 12 to 16 point games. We had Complexity with the highest kills yesterday with 16. We had Elevate with a 14 kill game, and I think the next highest after that is a 12 kill game. So not quite there in that Furia meta, but we'll see if teams are going to be able to force the issue right now. Very nice spread, as it looks like we might have one contest taking place over at Command Center. That's going to be Team Vizio involved in that one. We do get a good look at the ring, though, and it looks like it's pulling up northwest toward that checkpoint area, but be hard-pressed to say that it's actually going into checkpoint. We're probably looking at that water just outside of it.
It could be also where Yenya is setting up, because when we talk about Storm Point, it typically does that Apex Legends pull that goes over towards that same similar side. So LG gifted the zone in game number 1 yesterday, getting the zone here today. And a possible fight will be taking over in that Cenote area. You can see CLG starting to push up on over towards Twitch Pig. Meanwhile, ESA, they're going to visit the armory, get some better loot, and they desperately need it. Triple Graze, not the vibe that they're looking for. CLG, they're rolling dirty. They got the Trident out, and they're kind of scouting, looking for the player that's trying to steal their loot.
The thing is, CLG, they are one of the most, I guess, veteran teams when it comes to getting 50-50'd, and especially here at Cenote Cave. They've been fighting tripods for it, and so they're more than ready. So, I mean, if you think you're on par with Deeds and Nick Merckx and them, sure, go ahead and try and challenge CLG, but it looks like CLG are ready to make the push. They've already got the armors as well, the gold and the purple, and now Nano chasing after one, but it looks like the team might have gotten away. Our first team going down, it looks like it was our Girls Got a Game squad, actually taking out one of the U of A squads.
Nice job getting on the board there, but very slow start to this game. But it's, again, nice to see teams getting their loot overall, and CLG going to take advantage of killing the spiders. The spiders give some pretty awesome loot overall. I mean, you're going to get a lot of attachments that you're looking for, get some ammo, get some cells. So never pass up those spiders as you're going by them. Atlanta Premier sitting in our top 4 area, is Verl's actually going to get a drop. You have a big fight happening between KCP and Foot, if we could hop on board with that fight.
Yeah, and I wasn't actually looking if that was a wingman or if that was a Mozam, and it was a wingy. Kuyev picking that one up, and so this is taking place over at a downed beast. KCP do recover one as Dell gets the knock onto Voltic, the push out, and they do trade. It's down to a 1v1 now. Eva 8, Nasky gets the quick armor swap onto the blue, and now he chases after him. It's for Flash. He just needs one more shot, and he is able to finish him off. KCP stays alive while they knock out Foot Esports.
And that's what you need. Not only a great team fight, but a team fight against a team that's very talented and also above you in the overall leaderboard. Foot sitting in that top 5 area, KCP sitting inside of the top 10 through 5th through 10. So they're able to pick up those points, eliminate Foot from getting points, and great EVA 8 usage there coming in from Nasky. A little bit staggered there from Foot. That's not what you're looking for. The Seer coming in, getting a little bit overly aggressive, not really using the scans in the correct way, but you got to give credit to Nasky for keeping his composure when those last couple EVA 8 shots are only connecting for less than 10. You get a little bit nervous.
Yeah, X-Rocker were in position to possibly come in for the third party, as KCP do need to get that res. So if they do kind of just linger around for a little bit longer, they might have actually been able to catch them on that revive, but it looks like with X-Rocker backing away, that's going to leave KCP to a free res. Complexity, though, looking to try and hunt down a squad right now, and it looks like it's going to be Monsoon catching one, and oh boy, he's got that G7 Scout ready as he almost gets a knock onto a second one, chasing after one more. Team Complexity really looking to start today off strong.
Yeah, and this is what Monsoon needs to do. He needs to be the entry fragger. I'm glad to see Shiny get off Newcastle, take Seer, get that out of the hands of Monsoon, because while you can play really aggressive on Seer, and it's one of the more aggressive legends that you can have, especially in the recon area, Monsoon loves to get in your face, and that's exactly what Horizon's about.
Yeah, and Shiny being able to play a little bit further back, it gives them some more information there throughout all of this. Complexity, though, does find another team behind them. And like you said, Monsoon is going to try and get into their face right now, but he is fighting an uphill battle currently, and that Singularity ends up not catching anyone at all. Complexity will go ahead and back away off of this one as they do get picked up on the Ashe passive there, and it's going to be Team Sudden coming in for the third party. They've got a Kraber in hand as well. That's going to be Tatted Poodle with that one, and so Complexity back away after hearing that Kraber. They will not risk it at all.
The Sentinel Kraber combo, I mean, you could basically take down a player. You saw a 55 connect, a 140 can connect on the Kraber. You can do a little bit more damage with the headshot, but that's basically all you need. Tatted Poodle looking for some serious headshots over towards this high ground, but with 3 teams, the zone coming in, might as well just kind of push up, not take any of that storm damage. Not quite sure how many cells and healing they have too, so you want to make sure that you're aware of the resources as you're making your way through. As we hop on board with Team ReWired, they're on the similar path, trying to make their way directly over towards the zone. It looks like they're going to find some safe haven for now.
Yeah, this Kraber team does have to be careful, though, because Complexity knows that, hey, if you're playing a Kraber, that means you're going to have one option or one player that doesn't have that long-range option they could turn around onto it. But it looks like Complexity finds a different squad. That's going to be Mega Derp going down, and that is the instant thirst coming out from Shiny already. And it looks like, yeah, they did go for the punish onto that Kraber squad. And now they've got 2 teams ahead of them. This could be 5 kill points coming the way of Complexity fairly shortly. But the push comes out. Spaceman Spiff from our ReWired squad picking one more up, and Complexity losing out on a few of these kill points.
This is big, though. Complexity needs to get warm early and start getting get the ball rolling, basically, when it comes to pushing in. And Monsoon now looking for some more blood. That's going to be Tatted Poodle going down. Shiny going to take over that kill lead. And when we look at 15 squads, that's 5 squads, and Complexity's had their hand in the cookie jar for almost all of these team fights.
Yeah, now it's going to be Monsoon on that Kraber. I love to see Monsoon on that Kraber because it always goes back to that original moment. You know, Monsoon versus Shroud with that Kraber heady. Oh, I love watching those old Apex clips. But for right now, it's X-Rocker looking for a fight currently. They do have that Seer exhibit going down, taking place up here at Checkpoint currently. Clearing that one out is going to be X-Rocker. I believe Girls Got a Game was the other squad that is currently in the area for now, as it looks like Complexity do finish off that ReWired squad, but Elevate was in the area as well, along with Atlanta Premier, and it looks like Complexity might be getting punished by multiple top squads.
Yep, Hill gets a really nice grenade, but the damage is coming in, and you can see enemy ends up getting dropped. Hill's next, and it's Monsoon with the Kraber. If we could put it on his screen, that's what you love to see. Crook now going to skedoodle his way on out of there because, hey, like you said, 2 really good teams in the area, E8 Complexity. And Complexity, they've already started warming up. They've already taken some good team fights, and they're not having any of this.
Yeah, Monsoon took 3 shots off of that Kraber himself, securing that thirst on to enemy, and they should be able to get 1 more. They were able to pick up that banner of Lux, and now it's all about trying to plug him in. They know that there's going to be 1 rat around and an Elevate somewhere throughout all of this, so maybe they're able to pick off mobile respawn beacon to get him back into things. Not off of that body, unfortunately, and it's going to be Monsoon now the kill leader as Zone 1 finished off closing. We're down to 4 kills for him, and there it is, the mobile respawn beacon to get Lux back into the game.
That's huge because you need him to have loot, and you have multiple boxes in the vicinity. They're looking like they're going for the Crook play over towards the side. That's him with the blue armor on the horizon, trying to see if he could get any type of information. But Monsoon is still eyes on, predicting where he's going. Unfortunately, hits the wall right there, but he has a grab lift of his own, and he's going for the headshot on the final moment there. Not able to find it, but either way, the damage is done. Atlanta Premier's lost out on 2 players, and that was a 2 versus 3 originally, so finding that Kraber is huge for Complexity.
Yeah, I can hear the Atlanta Premier comms right now. It's like Zone 1 Kraber. Okay, what am I supposed to do against that? And it's Monsoon of all people to have it right now, as he is just completely on the hunt. Lux is still trying to loot up, by the way, and he is so far off from the rest of his squad, is Monsoon, but he does not care right now. This is literal vibes coming in for Complexity here, as they've got a great start to the day. They've already gotten at least 5 kill points. We've hit top 13. They're still looking for these fights on the edges. Looks like Crook will give them a wide berth, and now there are no more teams on the edge to fight for. This zone is pulling into Checkpoint. We've got, it looks like KCP, playing that southwest choke point, which means they could run into CLG. Right now, Elevate actually in position to run into Vizio fairly shortly. We're still playing outside of Checkpoint currently. But at this moment, it looks like maybe 7 of our squads currently playing for zone, playing for that late game.
A little bit of a 3-2-1 from CLG. They're going to find Verhulst and get the knock. So that's KCP losing out again on their Valkyrie. And there goes the Seer Q stopping the res. The exhibit goes down from KCP. But the damage is done. And at this point, it's just a matter of who's going to actually pick up the kills on CLG.
Yeah, all the nades coming in. That was coordinated out from CLG, and KCP are absolutely punished. It's only going to be Nasky remaining for his squad. And it's going to be difficult to try and find a spot to rat up here inside of Checkpoint when you have so many Seers still alive. Basically all of our squads playing Seer in this late game right now. So Nasky's going to have his work cut out for him. I believe that's going to be Team Aurora that we're playing that Newcastle Watson composition, taking hold and control over that building for now. But yeah, Nasky's not even going to have an opportunity to try and go back for those banners. We'll see, though. We do have another fight taking place, and that's Team Vizio actually picking up too.
He has some interesting routes that he could potentially take. The Scout proving very useful for teams like Complexity and for Vizio. Vizio is going to be in an interesting spot because a lot of the kills have already gone over to Complexity, so this is where you're trying to kind of gatekeep teams and see if you could pick up teams on the edge, because Zone 3 is that zone where people will still have to move. You can't out-heal this one. So Vizio doing whatever they can to try to get these players off of the high ground. Most likely going to have to just sit here, wait this out, and then hit the skyward dive until they know their back's clear.
Yeah, so they got one on Waterfall. I'm imagining that's probably going to be Complexity coming up behind them. No, it's actually Elevate that's behind them. And so E8 right now, still just looking for the fights on the edges, but not ready to quite push in onto Team Vizio. That would be a huge pickup for Elevate if they end up taking out Team Vizio, who are currently in second place right now. E8 really only off by 10 points from them currently. So if they can knock out some of their competitors here, E8 really stand a chance at being able to secure themselves in the top 4. For UA Esports, it's going to be Click trying his best to survive. And it's really unfortunate because he's still here in round number 3 with the white armor.
Yeah, double Kravers now in the lobby. You most likely have Monsoon with only a couple shots left. If I was him, I probably would have already used those. That's why he was, very loose on terms of wanting to shoot that final player that was Crook, because he understands, hey, even if I get this knock, it's going to be a full finish. The bow check bow coming in, and ESA, they have the power positions in terms of the weapons right now. They have the high ground over here. They're just going to continue to do a very similar thing that Vizio is doing. LG now getting involved. That's going to be their first knock on a team, but Gretsu answers it right back, so that's a 2-on-2. E8 gets taken down by a great thermite grenade from Blitz, and now the hunt is on with the PK and the Scout.
Oh, looks like EA tried to make that push on to Vizio with the skyward dive, but they are getting punished. But no, Golden and Mercy fighting back, leaves Sung in a 1v1 now. He doesn't have any armor, and he gets pushed throughout all of this.
Wow.
He will go down. Elevate somehow survive throughout all of that, and it's going to be Golden to come up clutch for his squad. Vizio knocked out, and this is now E8's opportunity to catch up with the rest of the lobby.
They got turned on right there. That is not what you typically see from a team like Vizio. E8 just going to a whole nother level there. Big mistake to lay down the exhibit. That could have been another PK shot that could have did the damage necessary there. But I understand. He's like, all right, we already got the knock. If I could at least lay this down and show where the enemy players are going to go, that's big. But it's very similar to, hitting a Bloodhound scan that's unnecessary. That animation is going to cost you, and it costs that 1 second right there as damage negated, and it ends up really coming back. That's not the main reason they lost that fight, Jamerson. That's great plays from EA, but you don't really expect that from a team like Vizio.
Now Complexity actually coming in for a third party up against Esports Arena. They already got the first knock. That's the second. I'm imagining if that's the second knock onto Fury. Monsoon getting that first finish onto enemy, leaving Esports Arena with 1. So Complexity doing a great job once again, roaming around the edges, finding more kills, at least 7 to their name right now. And they're almost on a collision course with E8, who are on the other side of this rock. Both of these teams, though, need to go for that skyward dive to try and make it for that late game circle, because it is once again pulling over towards that checkpoint. Mercy spotting one through that, as he is going to get picked up on that Seer scan. That's going to be the entire team getting picked up, and you can see E8 just backing away because, again, they don't have much to really, much space to play off of right now. That zone is starting to hurt, and they actually do have a small corner to actually work their way on in. Double backing is Mercy, though, maybe to try and catch them out on the retreat.
And E8's going to be feeling so confident after that fight. it's going to be hard to stop them. And that's, again, one of those team fights that gives you that momentum that you're really hoping for. Complexity, they got the ball rolling. EA looks like they're starting to get things rolling. So, again, two teams that were on the right-hand side of that original overall leaderboard. Got to watch out for them because they understand the situation. You cannot allow a team like ESA just to run away with this lobby as we take a look at where the zone's going to be. Pastillo, the lone LG member over towards your northwest. You have TM locking things down inside of the zone, but a lot of action going to happen over towards the southern side. You can see Complexity getting ready for their skyward dive over the mountain here shortly.
Yeah, we have Pastillo and Click and Nasky. 3 rats currently inside of the lobby, and I'm wondering if it's a 2-man for Team Mystic. Devil Nagiti and Nia up there in the northern side. The skyward dive does come out for Complexity here. Doesn't give them that much distance, but they still have, once again, a refresh on the Kraber for Monsoon. Not connecting quite yet there, but it's going to be Lux playing zone early on, pushing up, as now they are looking to advance on this building. They still have a ways to go. They have to make it across 2 buildings now as that Seer exhibit comes down. A skyward dive, and Monsoon's going to go for that long-range shot. Does not quite connect. Nasky still alive as a rat gets a knock onto Nutella. So the rats are making a huge difference in this game. But more importantly here for Complexity, the fact that they were able to push and kind of force that team to go for a skyward dive is going to allow them to push out, as now they're even finding more kills on this rotate, and they'll be able to find a safe corner to play off of.
Complexity starting to heat up here. Lux with the wingman switching on over towards the Volt. Even though Monsoon wasn't able to connect on the Kraber shots, it was more than enough to push them off of the space. Really heads up played to skyward dive on out of there. I mean, you don't really want to get stuck in between two teams. UA Esports is down. Rocker's team is gone. 6 kills for Shiny. Monsoon popping off as well. And Lux, at this point, he's on the support Valkyrie.
That's kind of weird to see for Lux, who's been a standout addition to this Complexity squad now. KCP finally getting eliminated, but Nasky does secure top 6 for his squad, along with an additional kill point that he was able to pick up. Right now, though, it's all about who can stop Complexity here in our top 5 currently. I believe we still might have one more rat running around. That's going to be LG's Pastillo. Still alive somewhere here on the northern side, and there it is. Not too far away from that Complexity squad. As that zone pulls away from Team Mystic, it's coming down to the south side. That's going to be a natural rotation for Complexity to be able to maintain control over that one building in the northwest.
And if you can get a seer on the scan, if you can see someone, they're within 75 meters, that means they know where you are as well. Pastillo having to fight in between multiple players. It's going to be the exhibit going down. Complexity now looking for blood. They've already mopped a handful of different squads. Shiny with the scout. You know Monsoon still has the Kraber in his back pocket. And Pastillo, while he is on the run, he's doing a great job of surviving. Eventually, he will have to make his way towards the zone, and that's what Complexity's banking on.
And he's down to slow heals, just selling it up as Team Mystic. Might have heard him underneath him. Here's a drop down from Nia, and he's going to be super low, taking off 1 shield cell there at the very least, missing that PK shot.
Oh no.
It's going to be Shiny, who steals away that kill. And now it looks like Complexity might actually beat the high score from yesterday. It was a 16-point game win that Complexity were able to get in game number 3. We'll see if they can put up a little bit more. Monsoon does have to be careful as he gets sprayed down. It's coming down to our final 4 squads now as ring number 5 closes. It's 3 full squads and that 2-man of Team Mystic.
Watch out for the caster curse, Jamers. And 140 right there to the body from Monsoon, and that's what you expect from him. He's been scaring the lobby the entire time, just getting so close to these headshots, but now they're starting to connect. Mystic goes down. E8's still involved. Now we're in a 3-on-3-on-3 scenario to find out who's taking game number 1 of day number 2.
Complexity and E8 were our 5th and 6th place, our 6th and 7th place teams respectively, but now they're going to shoot up on that leaderboard. Complexity might actually overtake first place with a huge game like this. Nano does find 1 knock onto Golden, and it's the final 3 squads. That means if they can get 1 more trade, this will just be a free win for Complexity, but with the way they're playing, they can easily mop up a full 3-man. Right now, picking up an extra nade as well to finger roll that one in. Nice Seer Q out, catches all of them, a 25, but we do have the Singularity going down now. The gravity lift being used, but he is hitting for flesh is Lux, keeping them all contained. CLG is backed up into a corner right now, but you can see that Complexity aren't trying to throw away the win. They want to get that plus 12, Tom.
Yeah, I want to see Lux take a little bit of a high ground right here and shoot a missile swarm over on the right-hand side, because that's going to force the players over towards the left. The problem is once you take, Monsoon again with the Kraber, a knock there onto Mamba. Shiny's waiting for them to go for the res before they go for anything right here, but Monsoon really opening things up.
CLG backed up into Elevate right now, and they're trying to commit to second, but Elevate will be able to mop them up. Mercy has been knocked throughout all of this, and this is going to be a Complexity win in just a moment. Never mind, Mercy was the only one remaining for EH, and Complexity now will take the win. Our first win of the day. You saw right there, kill leader with 8 kill points as well. I don't know if they did enough to get that same 16 kill game that they had in game number 3, but damn did they impress.
Hey, that's how you start off if you're Complexity. Monsoon's looking rested. The vibes have to be high and immaculate over there. You love to see them playing at their best. And realistically, that's what they needed to do. They needed to go and take fights early. They continued to keep the ball rolling. They were by far the most aggressive team. When they got stuck around multiple teams, they weren't skyward diving. They were fighting their way through.
Yeah, and really what's impressive is that Monsoon last night, he said, you know what? I figured out the lobby. I've got this lobby downloaded, and it is showing. What an impressive performance coming out from Complexity, who were in 6th place at the beginning of this game, but they should be well in the lead, or at least be close to tying Esports Arena after a performance like that. Let's go ahead and send it on over to our analysts, Fallout and Stella, to break down game number 5 for us. Guys, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jamerson. Thank you, T-Squared. Complexity dominates to kick off Championship Saturday, the final Saturday of this competition. A 16-kill game, I believe, is what they did end up at, tying the kill record. Monsoon ends up with 8. He was just eating up the entire lobby, Stella.
Yeah, that was crazy. Also, you got a refresh on his Kraber, which, like, I don't know what game he was playing, but for me, I have not been able to find a Kraber in any of my games recently, so that was pretty incredible. But yeah, I mean, Monsoon was able to create such big openings for his team the entire match. It felt like they were just constantly in the best position possible.
Yeah, and that's Complexity at their best, right? When they're able to just freely roam and occupy so much real estate and fly around the map, squad wipe after squad wipe, continuing to play with aggression, all three playing kind of on a leash to each other. You never saw them get too far or spread out. And, you know, that's typically when Complexity is not able to find success. Maybe Monsoon gets a little over aggressive, gets taken out, or they're not on the same page necessarily. But Complexity right now is looking like Complexity in their rarest form, circa ALGS Season 1, when you saw them running that Bloodhound team comp when Bloodhound was kind of popular in meta. It's looking really, really scary right now. It's going to be a massive game for them as we get the leaderboards ready to take a look at what happens for their standings. But first things first, let's look at the replay. KCP, another disappointing game.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, look at these. I don't know about you, but EVA 8 is still one of those guns that I cannot get down perfectly. But that was amazing to see here in this close range fight, which KCP, I was not sure that they were going to make it out of this one, but they did just barely by the skin of their teeth.
Nasky proving that he has the bigger guts with his ability to push right there in that 1v1. Little friendly fire, Europe versus Europe, as KCP, the European squad, takes on their European compadres in Foot. Nice job right there, Nasky, with the 1v1. That was disgusting. Nasty's been performing, I gotta say. I know he posted a little cheeky video of him yesterday, not having the mouse space that he wants in his mouse pad, but he's certainly showing up. Another team that showed up big time was CLG, ended up getting 3rd place overall, but the young boys are able to turn up here in game number 5.
Yeah, I also want to point out that a lot of the teams, again, that were lower placing last night, they've actually been able to do really well today, too, especially with Girls Got a Game coming in at around 9th this time, which is great. You love to see other teams being able to practice and get in the honing in of what exactly they want to do in each match, which is amazing. But again, also Vizio lost a 3v2, and that was surprising. So hopefully they can learn from that. But I mean, again, first match, it's going to be getting used to the speed of Storm Point, and some teams may have more experience than others.
Yeah, that's right. And then the rest of the story here in the late game, well, it was all Complexity all day, and this is what we meant when they were just free roaming. Basically, the entirety of the map was theirs. Monsoon with Kraber putting in such work, and you saw Shiv in the chat saying that Kraber's about to get scary real quick. Indeed, it did get scary as Monsoon was able to connect for 2-3 knocks, a couple great shots, and in the end, Complexity wins it. A 12-point first place finish plus a 16-ish, maybe 17 kill game. We're not sure what the full total kill count was. That's going to be a massive 27 to 30 point game for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do not have leaderboards available, so it just keeps you on your toes for the next match, right?
That's right. Exactly. We're just gonna keep you guessing, everybody. Now we'll keep you updated on the leaderboards and the standings. Not updated as of now. We're getting the API up and ready. We'll keep you updated as to who's going to take the lead. Obviously, as of yesterday, it was Esports Arena all day. Didn't really catch them in the replays or a lot of ESA in that one. Foot Esports in the top 5, ESA, a lot of your top 5 teams not necessarily going big in game number 5. So that opens the door, for teams like Complexity that were kind of middle or upper middle of the pack. And that was really the question for me I had coming in today, Stella, and I mentioned at the end of the broadcast yesterday. If you're Kansas City Pioneers, if you're Complexity, if you're Cloud9, that's where I want to see some of these big brand teams show up big here in day 2, and Complexity answering the call of duty with a really big game from them.
Yeah, I mean, Complexity did such a great job of just owning the entire map this match, which is interesting because Stormpoint games are obviously, they can be a little bit slower just because it is 10 to 15% bigger than World's Edge, which yesterday we saw immediate action back to back to back to back, as opposed to today. But Complexity did such a great job of taking up so much space on the map that even in like that final circle that we saw fighting happening, no one wanted to challenge them up on the high ground because they just didn't have the space to. And Complexity just made their presence feel known in any single ground that they were at. So that was a really well done mechanic for them.
That's a great point. And we mentioned it yesterday a bit. Sometimes in late games, especially if you're a team of 2, you want to feel small. Don't let your presence be known. You don't want to make noise because you want everyone to focus on killing each other, essentially. But sometimes you're in a situation where you just want to make your presence known. You want to make sure everyone knows, hey, we have a Kraber. We have Monsoon on our team. We have 15 or 14 or 13 kills at least in that early to late game. And you want to be able to fly around the map and control as much land and real estate as you can. Map control in late games, so incredibly crucial for angles. And obviously you saw it there, right? CLG and E8 both basically cornering themselves to an itty bitty corner of the late game zone. And Complexity, like a shark in the waters, were able to feast. So great job from them in that late game. Anything else you saw in that one, in terms of differences between Stormpoint and World's Edge, or any team comp differences? I know we saw a lot of Horizon, Valk, and Seer again.
Not too many, but honestly, I was surprised that Atlanta Premier didn't do as well as they did, the first match yesterday. They went out, I forget which place they went out at, but they weren't doing too well this match. But again, it could be just getting used to the fact that it's Stormpoint, it's the first match of the day. So there is stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like Complexity just did not sleep and they just kept playing because they feel very freshly. They feel really warmed up. So the other teams need to catch up. I mean, we do have, 3 more matches on Stormpoint, then it goes back to 2 on World's Edge. So we need these teams to wake up and realize where they want to be, what loot rotations they want to take, which there are a lot more ground loot options on Stormpoint because of the different holds that you can go through and work on. Also the Spider and Prowler nests, which is amazing for getting any attachments that you need. So yeah.
A lot of opportunity there. Yeah, that's spot on. Or the opposite side of the spectrum for Complexity. Maybe they got a nice full 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Woke up, Monsoon, the chef, cooked them a nice breakfast, eggs Benedict, if I had to guess. And they're well fed, they're well rested, and they came in frying. Either way could be true. But now Complexity certainly showing up. Atlanta Premier, ESA, your top 2 teams from yesterday, not necessarily showing up there in game number 5. We'll see if they can turn it around. But that's what's exciting about 2 maps, right, in the rotation. We obviously have a new map coming in the new season, which is exciting. But in this rotation, 2 maps, you could be good at one map. You might not necessarily be as good at the other. Consistency across both maps is important. Will ESA and Atlanta Premier show that they can do it on Stormpoint? That is the question. Let's go ahead and throw it back to our caster's desk because game number 6 of this 10-game series is around the corner. Let's go ahead and throw it back to Jamerson and T-Squared.
That's right. Chef Monsoon was cooking up the highlights. We saw as soon as he got the Kraber in hand that they were able to deal with it. And I was really impressed, Tom, and I imagine you were as well, with how they were dealing with a lot of those third parties that were coming in early on. They were looking for those fights on the edges. It came to them, and they knew exactly how to handle it all.
Yeah, and you also heard an iPhone ding right there. I'm pretty sure that was Fallout. He hasn't realized how to put his phone on silent yet because he just switched over to an iPhone. So I just want to give him credit for finally switching over. No more green bubbles for him. But yeah, cooking up the highlights for sure. It was really impressive to watch again. Complexity pushed this when they had 2 players. The biggest moment, this is what Stella was talking about, was when Atlanta Premier took them down. They had the grenade, they took out Lux, and then they played big, like Fallout was saying, as a duo, taking down Atlanta Premier, bullying them out, and sending Crook just running away from that Kraber that was in Monsoon's hands.
Yeah, and he tried to chase him down. You were talking about it, but somehow he was able to get his hands on another Kraber throughout all of that. He had only, 3 or 4 shots remaining, I believe, in that Kraber while he was trying to chase down Crook. He ultimately went down to another squad. I think it was Esports Arena or Vizia that ended up picking him up. But we saw that, yeah, right now, a lot of our squads, a lot of our top 5 squads are gunning for that edge playstyle currently. Of the few that are in the top 5 that aren't, it's going to be LG, who are still able to kind of salvage that game, even though they ended up coming down to Pistillo as that solo rat. I believe he might have survived the top 4, top 5. So LG are still remaining in contention, but with Complexity picking up another 16-point game, that might make them actually tied for Esports Arena. We're going to try and get our API and our scoreboard fixed for that. But right now, we don't have a heads up for it. We are heading straight into game number 6, our second of the day on Stormpoint.
Yeah, I love that we've been getting right into these games, especially when we're on LAN. We want those players to continue to feel warm and just, let the fights continue to ensue, right? Because it was a pretty slow start to game number 1 here. Well, I guess it was game number 5 overall, but game number 1 today. And once Complexity started to, download that lobby, like Monsoon was saying, they started to cause the fights, create the chaos, and even the sound of the Kraber was scaring people off their spot.
Yeah, I mean, that round 1 Kraber is so hard to deal with because if you don't have the purple or the blue, that body shot can absolutely destroy you. A heady is going to just take you down, of course. And like you said, the 3-2-1s can come in easily. We saw CLG having an expert 3-2-1 onto Verhulst for KCP, kind of undoing their chances in game number 5. But here we go, heading into game number 6. We're joining on board with Complexity, and it looks like they are going for a more central drop here on Stormpoint for themselves, and they're going to be roaming around their edges once again, keeping an eye on the skies to see where teams are landing around them.
That's the key, Jamerson, finding out where the teams are going so they can find out where the rotations will be. And it seems like they're going to have something pretty similar, right? I mean, the zone's going to move to a different spot than it did in the previous game, but they're a team that's finding a lot of action because there's a lot of teams that aren't necessarily landing around them. So eyes in the sky consistently for Shiny. They're going to loot up as fast as possible, and that's always a great start, finding that R301, one of the best overall guns in the game.
Yeah, the great thing about being able to land here on the southeast side is that you can rotate for some nice isolated fights. You can go down to fish farms. There's usually typically one team by themselves down at fish farms, maybe at Gale even, Gale Station. You can rotate there to find a squad. And so Complexity are going to try and bounce all of that for right now, though. KCP find themselves in a 50-50 currently. They do have the outsides of this building controlled, but Nasky takes a big heady there. He's already cracked for his armor, but a nice flank coming up from Verhulst, looking to make up for game number 5. The gravity lift getting punished there by Verhulst, getting that knock onto Divine, and he is ready and waiting to go now as he's about to get one more knock. That's going to be University of Arkansas's Apex team going down. KCP picking up the first +3 of the game.
And Verhulst didn't really get a chance to play the previous game. Every time we looked at him, he was getting knocked fairly early, maybe caught a little bit out of position. They have to play a little bit tighter, stay shoulder to shoulder, and now Complexity looks like they're on the hunt. The R301 that we saw Shiny originally pick up being put to work. Lux now gets involved with the flatline, and it looks like another team on the ropes.
Yeah, and this is one of the teams that they fought early on in game number 5 as well. And Complexity quickly turning on to them now, have full control over the rooftops, over the buildings. As Shiny now the one to drop down, find one, almost got the crack and the knock. That's going to be ReWired going down. Complexity knocking out our second squad of this game.
Wow, another similar zone over here. I feel like that's going to favor Complexity again. And it looks like LG bailed up over towards the northern side. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jamerson. This is the complete opposite side of the map that they landed in the previous game.
Yeah, at this point, again, LG, even though they were able to get like a top 6, top 5 finish, I can't remember exactly where Pistillo was able to finish off. The name of the game for them yesterday was consistency. It wasn't the highest fragging games for them, but consistently getting top 4, top 3, that's a lot of points that you're able to slowly put on. And so they want to try and play for that once again. This is going to allow them to try and go for that. Even though they were at checkpoint, I believe that's where they landed in the last game. Now going down to fish farms, they were able to scout that out. They might like the loot a little bit better there, but we'll see how they play coming in from the edge.
And Complexity may not expect a team of LG's caliber to be down there because it's pretty odd to see a area like checkpoint just completely get left alone. And LG ends up saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to land on the edge so we can continually push up over towards the map and then find the kills that we're looking for, because while LG has had some great team fighting moments, they haven't had as many team fights as they've been hoping for, and they are being consistent as another fight breaking down. X-Rock already has 2 members down. That's going to be Caustic Gas slowing things down just temporarily for Tommy, but he has the player on the roof and spotted out. It's a great spray there with the car and the R301. Means UA Esports going down. The res on to Nutella, and X-Rocker starting to get going here.
Already down to 17 squads here as round 1 is closing up. But for X-Rocker, they're going to get some great loot off of this one. They've already got 2 blue armors along with that purple onto Tommy. And there should be an upgrade for them overall. A nice pickup for them. As Foot Esports actually catches the team on the rotate right now, trying to go for that skyward dive. No knock for them. It looks like they are okay with just kind of getting this position for themselves. They do have the crafters to play off of, as KCP now are making their rotation through the wall side. Looks like they're going to try and run the north to make their way over towards checkpoint. But before that, they're going to have a rest stop here, as the full 3-man is ahead of them. It's going to be Verholz once again on that front line, backing up just by a little bit of space and time for his squad to get into position. Verholz now backing up a little bit more as Nasky and Dell take to the skies to try and take this fight. Now, we do have that exhibit down, and they're just playing on the outskirts of it currently, but they are chasing the squad down.
I like that play from Verholz. You don't really have to entry frag when you have players like Nasky and Serdell on your team, and he's been getting knocked first, so back it off a little bit. Nasky's got the turbocharge Havoc. He's also on Seer, so he's going to constantly be able to scan where these players are, ping them, and open things up for his team. And Verholz also needed a full heal throughout all of that. So I like that he goes, elects for the cells, slow plays it just a little bit, and allows his teammates to make the plays.
Beautiful scan into that gravity lift, and that's going to be Sung going down. Team Vizio now down to 2 members here. We do have defensive bombardment going down. Excuse me. I think that was the Bangalore rolls actually coming in as KCP back away from this one. Dell needs to heal up as well. Nasky healing that one up. Borton will fall, leaving only Blitzen alive to try and play behind this as they get knocked out. I thought I saw a Rolling Thunder, but I don't know exactly what happened there. KCP now making up for game number 5 here. Already 2 team fights under their belts.
Yeah, that's a very good team. The team that started off the day in second place. Vizio needs to get it together here if they want to have a successful tournament overall. Still a lot of Apex to be played, but once KCP gets it rolling, you know that they're a team that thrives off those positive vibes. Nasky going to be leading the way over here. You see a big difference just in the previous game with Verholz's mentality. Again, allowing Nasky to go in front of him, get the scans, allows Serdell to make the plays on that horizon. And there is a knock, another knock for Complexity. They continue to just dominate the lobby today on Storm Point.
Yeah, they are the Apex Predators here at Jurassic Park right now. Shiny finds one more knock onto Ozpat, leaving only 1 player remaining on this squad. The slide on in from Monsoon, and he will be able to finish them off. Quite possibly a third party coming in, as Monsoon is getting tagged up from the side. They have plenty of cover to play around. It's going to be Elevate now coming in for the third party, but it's already too late. Complexity has full healed up, and now they lead themselves in the crosshair of Team Complexity, who have fired up. And E8, I think, no, and they want to back away, and they will just go ahead and give up this fight.
E8, team that just completely destroyed Vizio in the 2v3 previously, but now LG destroying Complexity. Monsoon, the last player alive. Double R301 knocks, almost a double 1 clip from Yanya.
You can see how quickly the calls are being made. They spot out that the the flank came out onto Complexity, and now they want to try and get an advantageous position if the trades do go down. Monsoon did survive throughout all this, and never mind, it's Complexity going down, only picking up about 6, maybe 7 points in this game for themselves. They did go down in 15th, so that should be 7 points for them. So that's huge for them to try and catch up. Now LG, it looks like landing on the edges is actually working out for them. They still have to deal with Elevate here, who are on the other side of this fight right now. We do have that exhibit being used, and LG can easily wait this one out, as Yanya once again tries to find another angle with this R301. He is starting to run a little bit low on the ammo, but if he can get close, he's got that Volt to make up for that close range combat. It does look like they will use that gravity lift to back away. Throughout all of this, KCP finds another fight, and so now they are challenging Complexity for the aggression coming out from last game.
And that's how you need to do it. Verholz now taking over the kill lead, things that you love to see. But it's wild that the butterfly effect, like LG landing in fish farms directly behind Complexity, eventually leads to the demise of Complexity. And that's a really crazy adjustment that we mentioned previously, that Complexity probably didn't think that a team of LG's caliber was the team that was going to be landing over towards fish farms. You think that, hey, maybe this team lost their 50-50 originally. We didn't see someone landing over here. Now Atlanta Premier looking like they are a little bit on the ropes. Enemy can't pursue all the way up the stairs because he needs to go and hit the battery. And you also have this Watson fence, which is a nuisance. The scans coming in from Hill on the Heartseeker, and they need to take this fight fast because this has already been a while, and a potential third party could come in the area.
Enemy does have that gold armor, so it'll be a quick restop for him to try and get up to full HP. Seems like they've already got the first knock, so they just need to get 2 more here. But like you said, that timing, we know so many teams are playing on the edge right now. Another Seer Q coming out. This girl's got a game on the other side of this fight, trying to slow things down. They only have one side fenced off. You can see the flank coming in. The Roses get the knock onto enemy, but Hill will answer on back, and let Premier losing out on 1. They might try to prioritize going for the reses instead of trying to go for that last final kill on Girls Got a Game. Never mind, it's going to come their way. The EVA 8 outs. That's going to be the R301 to finish them off. Girls Got a Game going down in 13th place, but here's CLG looking for the third party. Don't have the moment quite yet. The angle's there, but they do spot out that low member. About to get the re-knock. Unfortunately, falls down as Mamba tries to challenge from that window, but they've got them back up into the corner, and that is the push out. Dimmy and Nano finding 2 knocks already, leaving only 1 player remaining for Atlanta Premier. Not for long with Nano's spray. He will go ahead and fry them down. Atlanta Premier knocked out in 12th.
Nice third party from CLG, and that's exactly what we're talking about. The fight's taking a little bit too long. We knew that there was going to be a third party. Now there's going to be a 4th party over here. Girls Got Game really sickening to Atlanta Premier there. Those PK shots from V Roses connecting so cleanly as we take a look at the zone, continuing to pull a little bit over towards this down beast area. ESA, they're going to be setting up. And unfortunately for ESA, there's really not much that you can do here. We know this is going to be a very kill heavy lobby, almost like a kill race, and ESA are going to have to play for these placement points and hope that they can close this out.
Take a look right now. LG are currently trying to box out CLG, who are in the zone, and they have that high ground angle. Jaguares this time with the R301. Maybe gets the knock with this missile storm. Does not quite connect there. CLG will try and back away. And we have to remember, this is just zone number 2 damage, so this one can be tanked from either side right now, as LG have not found the knock onto CLG, who are doing an expertly job of just backing away from this one. And so it doesn't seem like LG will be able to full commit onto this. So unfortunately for them, not able to pick that one up, but still LG will have a second chance at them, maybe if they can mirror them on the rotate.
And still, Yanya is not really great in the ammo department, right? We're looking at 150 shots basically in both weapons. Hopefully can find some light and energy ammo in these bins. That's exactly what you're looking for. The hardest name to pronounce yesterday. I'm going with Pia. Sanin. Pia. R99 Sentinel. We've seen the Sentinel being played by this team numerous times. It's been Tatted Poodle with the Kraber that got delivered to Complexity in the previous game. And now Pia out here with the Sentinel trying to do some long-range work. Unfortunately, they've lost out on Mega Derp, and they do have to rotate past this mountainside, and you have a feeling there could be a team waiting for them.
Yeah. And right now, they've only got the 2. So yeah, not having that scan is going to be very unfortunate for them. They will have the retreat option if they end up meeting someone on the other side of this wall, but 1 minute and 28 seconds to work with as they round the crest and make their way over towards the mill site. They do spot out 1, though, and I'm wondering if that's just a lone rat running around, and it doesn't seem like it. It's just the last member of LG taking shots at them. Maybe LG thinks this is CLG, and they kind of want to get positioned first before they turn around. Looks like possibly another team has actually made their way over towards Down Beast. Last time we saw, I believe that was Esports Arena that were hanging around there. We had Team Aurora that was over more towards that north pad side, and it is Esports Arena still on top of Down Beast right now, looking to gain position onto the team rotating in.
This is what ESA is really hoping for, some long-range poke leading into some kills, plenty of ammo. Goes to show you that they really haven't found any action at all. That's the first damage that enemy's been able to do is Purple Rain getting taken out. I believe that's Team X Rocker with Apex Tommy coming in and putting in some serious work. We saw him earlier playing on top of the domed building, and it is Team X Rocker with Pupsky and Nutella to boot. They have another team directly in front of them. Let's see if they're able to take this fight cleanly.
Yeah, they decide to hold position inside of checkpoint, but the ring does pull away for them. And so with 10 seconds to go before the zone starts closing in, they need to start making their move. And there's a team fight actually taking place right now with KCP caught in it. Dell's the first one to fall. E8 on the other side of that fight right now. And KCP, things are looking very dire for them. But the saving grace could be that rotate coming out from X Rocker. If they come in for the third party and maybe create some distraction, they might be able to get Dell out of there. Unfortunately for them, he's the one on the horizon, so they're not going to be able to gravity lift him back, but he does actually crawl back to safety, and KCP are able to recover him and stay alive for this next zone.
Yeah, Vrohl's sticking the javelin where the sun don't shine right there for Serdell to get him back inside of the safe haven, and that's a really nice job from KCP going for the reset, and that's what you need to do. You need to try to avoid these teams like E8, try to pick on the teams that may not be as experienced, and looks like they're going to hunt down the team also going for that skyward dive. So Havoc PK still for Nasty. He's got that thing turbocharged up, ready to go, and you can see the strategy right now for KCP. Let Nasty lead, let him make the calls, and then they can pounce on the information from Serdell and Vorholz.
And he's been a long-time IGL for his squad. As Esports Arena ends up going down, that's going to be LG picking up another +3 here. They're really picking up the mantle of complexity after knocking them out. CLG ends up losing out on one for now. We'll see if Nutella can go ahead and finish that off. But for KCP, they have a great position here on the rock, bullying this team away from it. They still have to deal with that threat. And you can see those E8 now backing away, trying to play for more position at this point, because we are heading basically the placement point territory where things do make a huge difference. This Team Mystic, though, still caught in the fray here at checkpoint right now with the team underneath them. They do toss down that exhibit. The Q goes out from Loggy, but he gets caught out and somehow survives, backing away. Needs Nia and Devil here to cover him and watch his angles as he backs away, hitting cells, and it's only slow heals for him, unfortunately.
Still this fight taking place. It's been quite some time now, and we know what happens in this type of instances. We've seen third parties and fourth parties come in, and that's what stopped Atlanta Premier when they end up fighting Girls Got a Game. LG taking down Tatted Poodle. Verholz finding some more kills there on the backhand side of that down beast area, this time with the scout, and 3 players extremely weak. Wow, that would have been a great missile swarm if it connects, but it's a great black hole, and now it's TM on the rope. CLG played this so patiently, and they haven't even taken any damage yet.
Yeah, and this is huge for them. They need to take this fight quickly because they only have 20 seconds now. So immediately after this, they need to recover and go for that skyward dive, but they lose out on one. And now this might mean both teams end up going down and just falling to the zone. CLG need to make a call here. Are they going to go ahead and commit to this fight? They're going to go for the res and recover themselves. Looks like both teams trying to take things a little bit slow, except for that push coming out from that Valkyrie. But Nano holds the line for now. Dimmy cracked down low.
Wow.
And Nutella picks up a second knock. Now X-Rocker is going to go ahead and push in to try and finish off CLG. But again, we're still worried about the zone timer throughout all of this, and X-Rocker are on the hunt when they need to go for the skyward dive.
They timed it perfectly, though, Jamerson. Look at the skyward dive's already been used. Pupsky going and taking to the air, and they should be able to survive throughout this zone. Pupsky just a tick away, and he's able to get out of there. CLG falling to X-Rocker. That is not a fight that you expected CLG to lose. You just saw how clean that was from X-Rocker once they got into close range.
And now looks like X-Rocker, though, will be landing on LG. They still need time to recover. Pupsky needs to heal up. We do have that, the push coming out from them. LG picks up 2 knocks there. X-Rocker will go down as Gretsu from Team Aurora will pick up 1 final kill with that bow check bow. Bringing us down to our final 4 squads. In that scramble out from checkpoint, TM end up going down as well. And so now we've got LG, we've got KCP, I believe. Let's check around the rest of the lobby to see who's still alive.
LG has flipped this entire lobby on its head after taking the route that Complexity originally wanted to take, landing behind them in fish farms, and all of these kills basically could have been Complexity's. I'm not saying that they would have done the exact plays that LG would have done, but the fact that LG was able to drop Complexity, slow them down a little bit, and make a major adjustment based on what they saw, they realized, hey, no one's rotating towards us or through us through checkpoint. We need to find kills. Let's go over towards the southernmost part of the map and see what we can find, and it's a great game so far.
We got KCP, LG, Team Aurora, and E8 still alive. It's KCP, currently the king of the hills, trying to control this zone, but they don't really want to put themselves in the focus of the other 3 squads. They start backing away and giving up some ground for E8, though. We're going to have to rotate in with Team Aurora behind them. They might actually go for a lurk play here, and if they're fast enough to try and mop them up, but you can see that everyone is running together as a full 3. No one wants to risk anything. It's 17 seconds for the next zone to close, and things are starting to get tense. All of these squads are basically in the top 10 as well. So for a team like Team Aurora, who hasn't had a huge pop-off game, if they can walk away with this victory, that'll put them, I believe, close to the top 5 heading into the final games of the day.
Really love the way that E8's been hyper aggressive, but they haven't been able to find the kill points that they're looking for in this particular game. A little bit late on the Skyward Dive. They're going to eat a little bit of storm damage over here in Jamer, so you can see how much damage that actually is. And Crad, just a sliver away. I'm shocked he hasn't been knocked yet, but some great moves there from the Watson and LG. They're patiently waiting and ready to take down another squad that Skyward Dives directly on top of them. Black Hole coming in from the backhand side from KCP, and this should lead to a KCP-LG fight.
LG does have to be a little bit careful there because they do leave themselves vulnerable. The armor swap should come in for Yanya to stay alive. And it was LG and KCP picking up the tatters of Team Aurora, now leaving us into a full 3v3v3. E8 taking some ring damage there, and Mercy will go down. Yanya picking that one up. KCP wants to get involved as well, swinging in his Nasky to find that angle. Verhos picks one up. Now it's the final 3v3. LG versus KCP. Nasky's taking a lot of damage, but he's got the armor swap there, and it's the one clip coming out from Verholst to knock out LG, and Verholst is on the front lines once again. KCP take a huge win here in game number 2 of the day.
What a great angle there from Verholst, understanding that he is extremely vulnerable in the open, needs to make his way over towards the rock, could have went left or right, decides just, hey, you know what, I'm going to one-clip this player, go for the 2 damage players down below, mop the entire lobby. Great game from LG overall, but KCP really popping off.
And it was a story of those two teams throughout all of this. LG were running that southern side while KCP were basically patrolling the northern side. Both of them controlling both sectors of the map throughout all of this, picking up a lot of frags. It looked like a kill race tournament essentially at the end there. Both of them scrambling for every last scrap that they could pick up. But it's a much needed victory for KCP, a team that we have been building up for the last 2 days.
That's the game that they needed, right? They've been waiting to get their big moment, and you've talked about it before when Complexity had a majority of their points yesterday from one game. KCP does it here. Just minor adjustments from Verholst that we touched base on throughout the game. A lot of times he was entry fragging, which he's been expected to do on TSM next to Hal. But you got Nasky coming in, gathering information, making calls, and then Verholst can do what he does best. That's shoot, get up close. One clip players, and he put that to work the entire game. His shots were unbelievable. He was almost pushing 10 kills that game just by himself.
Yeah, absolutely absurd how well he kind of turned things around after going down first in game number 1 of the day, turning things around for a huge victory for KCP, a team that hasn't been able to pick up a victory quite yet, but that is their best performance so far. We'll see if they can carry forward with that momentum. We have 2 games left on Stormpoint, but before we head into our next game, let's go ahead and send it over to Fallout and Stella to break down game number 2 of Stormpoint for us.
Thank you so much, Jamerson and T Squared. Kansas City Pioneers finally wakes up the sleeping giants throughout the entirety of this tournament. Game number 5, they show up big. And that's what's interesting about this format, Stella. There's still 4 games left. So if they can keep consistency over these next 4 games, if they can really turn that snowball into an avalanche, they can find a way into the top 3 and into the significant part of the prize pool here. But that's a big if.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this match was pretty good for KCP. They did a great job of being able to rotate into circle really early. I mean, we did see CLG struggling a little bit because they decided to take a fight late within the late circle before circle 5 hit. But KCP they were in a really good position ever since circle 4 and 5, and they were just able to play that ground and, again, spread out, make sure no one else could enter their property. And they just played from there the entire time. They didn't have to move at all. All they had to do was just point and click heads.
Yeah, that's right. And I'd be remiss to not bring up the end play from Verholst. Obviously, KCP probably had that in the bag. They had shield swaps to their name. They had height advantage and better positioning. But still, that one clip from Verholst into the 3K, absolutely disgusting. That was prime Verholst right there. And that's why he had Nasky yesterday saying, hey, we didn't play great, but holy cow, Verholst is insane. He's absolutely cracked. Yes, he is indeed. And it showed right there with the one clip with the SMG, turned right into the scout and was able to absolutely fry. Barely even missed a shot right there. Verholst is nasty, Stella.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was the one who led the charge against Vizio also and took them out early game. I mean, yep. Verholst is a very good player, and you just cannot sleep on him at all. So we're going to be looking at some of these replays here early on. Hopefully we get to see that fight again with Vizio, but not quite sure if we'll have that.
Yeah, we shall see. Hopefully we can catch the entirety of this TSM FTX Verholst plus, of course, Kansas City Pioneers substituting for this team. Their entire game was just nuts, fun to watch. X-Rocker here. Nice flank coming through from Tommy at LAN, and he's able to connect over a click. Good job right there from the X-Rocker crew. This is back to that Kansas City Pioneers fight over in Wall, their homeland, where they like to drop ever since the beginning of Storm Point here.
Yeah, this is the fight that we were talking about here too, which was just so big for them. It's really important to take these early game fights when you do feel confident, when you have landed on good loot, which is what you see here. So they were able to get that good RNG, which did aid in their fight here. And it helps your confidence throughout the rest of the match, right? Especially when you had, sort of a mid first game. Complexity obviously went in with a lot of confidence here in this fight, but they did end up getting taken out because they weren't watching their backs properly, which is unfortunate. But they had such a great first game lead that I think they'll be okay missing out on game number 2. Now, ESA, though, I do want to point out, this is their second lowest scoring game, and they really need to pick it up in order to get game number 3 underway and keep their head start.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Again, we talked about it. Some teams might not transition as well from World's Edge to Storm Point. Obviously, entirely different map, play style, drop spots. So right now, it's not looking great for ESA, at least today. But nice shot from AP taking out Girls Got a Game, and then the CLG flank coming through. Really, third-party central was kind of the theme of this game. You saw it on LG over Complexity over in Jurassic Park. And then, of course, here as well, CLG able to come through and clean up over Atlanta Premier. So our top 2 teams from yesterday, Stella, a subpar start to Saturday. And that's what's getting really interesting. If they stay underperforming and teams like Kansas City Pioneers, Complexity continue performing, boy, oh boy, we might see a flip in the overall standings, and they might slip away from this tournament.
Yeah, it's really interesting, too, because you know that the 2 teams have experience on Storm Point, especially playing in tournaments like this.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see the disparity between the points currently and how they are performing. So I don't know, maybe they just need to get their coffee or G Fuel or whatever else they want to put in their bodies. Maybe they just need to get some more of that. But, I mean, we do see teams warming up in game number 2, especially with, I mean, I want to see Atlanta Premier also wake up. They did end up doing a great job fighting out with Girls Got a Game, but they did end up getting taken out due to CLG third-partying them. So, yeah, the Burrows is just nasty. Absolutely disgusting.
The clip from Burrows. So, by the way, it was a one clip, but he actually had only had a blue extended heavy mag and had fired 3 or 4 bullets before entering that fight. So that was a one clip with a blue extended heavy and some ammunition already fired. Verhulst, absolutely disgusting. Insane what we saw right there. And obviously, like I said, you can't overhype it because likely KCP would have won it. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty fair 3v3. I mean, LG was full shields, was able to get a full reset. Obviously, they're on low ground, and Verhulst capitalized on that, but it was just really the play of Verhulst that gave them that 3 versus 3 win. And in the end, the Kansas City Pioneers get a much-needed first-place finish, 12 points. Plus, you saw them in those replays right there. I mean, they were farming from start to finish of that lobby. I don't know how many kills, didn't have a chance to see how many they ended up with. I think it was at least like 7 to 12-ish. Really, really solid game right there from the Kansas City Pioneers.
Yeah, Verhulst was leading with as kill leader with 7 kills at least, but that was before.
Much more than 9 kills.
yeah, much more. So it was really good to see that. I mean, it seemed like he was just playing it like it was a ranked match, just kind of going in and fragging out, which was great to see. LG was also feeling themselves a little bit more this match, of course, but you mentioned that KCP, like the victory could have been up in the air, but I mean, I think if LG had figured out positioning a little bit better, they obviously did a great job of recovering and trying to come back into the last fight stronger. But if they had spent a little more time figuring out positioning earlier on and not have to run instead of fight, that would have been great, because I think they spent a little bit too much time running away instead of firing their guns, which would have helped them out a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's obviously easy to say, well, Kansas City Pioneers had the advantage. Obviously, they won, but what gave them that advantage? Well, it was the earlier positioning from KCP and the kind of poor positioning. LG found themselves chasing a few kills over towards the water, giving themselves low ground, and in the end, KCP just really had too much dominance and map control, and they were able to capitalize on that and close it out. But solid games from LG. They've been really, really consistent. And again, big story here. LG's playing with their coach in Bistillo, and by all means, Bistillo is a really, really good player. He's not just a coach. He certainly can compete at a high level and has shown that time and time again. But you just wonder if they have that full roster and Azul playing with them as well, what they'd be doing here in this lobby. Very, very impressive stuff come out of LG.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would hope that their coach could play at high levels.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. some coaches, more the brains, not the e-bronze.
Oh, okay. I guess that's, okay. Interesting. I guess it's fair. Apex can be a game of chess, but like really fast, like speed chess. But actually wanted to point out, E8 had one of the early game fights in Jurassic against Complexity as well, but they didn't full send a Complexity, and they should have been punished for not full sending, because you could see that they sent halfway, but like Apex is a game of punishment and capitalizing off of your enemy's mistakes. And E8, if they had pushed out a little too far and then decided to turn back, it would have been way too late for them. So I just want to see teams to be more confident in their decision making, because you can see like even CLG with wanting to leave the fight over at what was it? Right next to North Pad. They wanted to clear and go to the circle, but they weren't able to because they were being held out. They had taken a fight late. So I want to see teams be more confident in what decisions they make next round.
Yep. That's a good point. I definitely agree with that. That's actually really surprising. I mean, E8 is a team that is known to be very, very aggressive, controller first team, and they had no problem pushing people and dominating the last chance qualifier, the challenger circuit, which they did such a good job dominating last season. But obviously this is a little bit different here. 1 year on LAN. They have some LAN experience. They played at LGS champs after qualifying through over the likes, by the way, of Complexity, of G2, a lot of top names, Sentinels, a lot of top names. So kudos to them. They certainly earned it. But they're relatively, new to kind of playing at the pro league level, at the top level over the last maybe 3-4 months since qualifying for champs. So, perhaps there's lack of experience, a little bit of nerves. Obviously, you're on LAN as well. That could be a factor. We want to see E8 play with that same level of aggression. But overall, I've been really impressed by the team. They've done a great job consistently placing top 3, top 4, and today in particular, really turning up. With a lot of our kind of top brands, like we said, that are showing up today. Kansas City Pioneers, Complexity, E8. I'm really have my eyes on Cloud9. It's a team that I expected to show up today alongside them. So we'll see what they can do here in our last 3 games of the tournament.
So actually, you bring up a interesting thing. So you're talking about LAN.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you have to bring from your setup if you are going to be playing at a LAN?
There's many things. Your controller, your keyboard, your you mean physical hardware stuff?
Like, you can only take one thing. Tom says his butt pillow, but that's because he's got a bony butt.
Are you bringing your Nessie plushie? Is this where you're going with this? Is that what you're bringing?
Well, I mean, for emotional support, yes. But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be my mouse, because like I can live with.
This is like if you were stranded on an island and could only bring one thing. That's that type of question.
No. The question is, if you're competing at a LAN, what is one thing that you like, your mouse or your keyboard? Which one are you bringing? Like, what can you work with?
The answer's both.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
He's controller.
I'm a controller player. So I'm actually
Okay.
only bringing one thing plus my headset. But for keyboard and mouse players, they're definitely bringing their mouse and their keyboard. 100% confirmed. Some water, hydration, also equally as important.
Let it be known that Followed is the worst at listening to what I'm asking and then answer. Like, oh my God. Anyway,
I still don't get the question. To be honest, I still don't understand the question. Are you saying if you could only play with one thing, a mouse or a keyboard?
if you could only bring one thing, the rest you have to use the LAN setup. What is the one thing that you have to? What is the one thing that you could work with? Like, you need to bring it in order to play properly. Like, for me, it would be my mouse. I can play with whatever keyboard, but the mouse is important to me because, like, my hand is calibrated to that.
Yep. Now I get where you're coming from. A keyboard's a keyboard. I'm going with the mouse all day, although I'm not doing either of those things because I've literally never played a game of keyboard and mouse in Apex Legends, except if like my controller stops working and I am desperate. That's maybe like 30 seconds to 3 minutes max played with mouse and keyboard in Apex. But I now understand the question further. Typically, though, you bring both of those things. Both of those items are brought, and you're bringing your own setup to make sure you're comfortable at the pro level at least. But
yes.
Hey, thank you for finally clarifying. Maybe I'm slow. I'll take the blame for that one. Enough of us making things up and talking madness on the desk. Let's go ahead and throw it back to our casters. We gave our players a little bit of a break here in between games, a little bit of a respite. Let's go ahead and throw it back to Tom and Jamerson as we're jumping in to game number 7.
And speaking of the standings, extremely close right now amongst our top 5, as we saw a tie for top 2 between LG and Complexity, but Complexity is eking them out. They've had 2 16-kill games at the very least so far, and LG, it's been that marathon for them, right? It's been making sure that they keep pace throughout all of this. They had a standout last game there, finishing off in 2nd place, but if they got the win, that would have put them in the lead. Right now, though, Complexity, off that huge first win of the day, propelled themselves into 1st place. Esports Arena only able to pick up a few points in the last few games there, and so they end up now in 3rd place. KCP, with that big victory in that last game, Tom, put themselves in 4th place.
And this is what I was a little bit worried about for teams like ESA, AP, the teams that are on the left-hand side of the leaderboard. They probably just went over and said, hey guys, we're playing great, let's just keep it up. They didn't really think, okay, we need to maybe consider making some even adjustments ourselves so we can further what we did previously. And granted, it was the only 2 games, but you're starting to see these changes in complexity. They made a change in terms of how they were playing. KCP, Verhulst makes a change from game number 5 to game number 6 to sit back a little bit. And then LG even changes what they did from game number 5 to 6, going to the complete opposite side of the map, from checkpoint where they originally landed, going all the way down to fish farms.
Yeah, and you have to imagine that complexity this time around are going to be wary of it. You mentioned it. How will that affect the match? Well, in a massive way for LG, knocking out a team that was firing up on all things considered. Complexity now have a better understanding of our next 2 games of Stormpoint. We'll see if they keep that into consideration when they rotate around. Well, they know that it's at fish farms directly that LG are landing at, so maybe they kind of avoid that and maybe rotate more up towards the northern side. It does come down to the ring pull coming in for our next game. We are still getting our competitors loaded up right now, but let's take a look at that top half of the standings again, because first, we're looking at 1st through 4th. That's where you're placing into the money. But amongst 4th through 9th, it's still an extremely tight race. But it looks like we have to go straight into game. We are loading up for game number 3 of Stormpoint here at ReWired Festival. It's day number 2. We have 4 games left, and we have $25,000 on the line. And only the top 4 will be placing in the money today, Tom.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with these last 2 games on Stormpoint, because then, like you said, we go to World's Edge after that. It's going to be exciting to see exactly how Complexity specifically deals with LG landing directly behind them. He brought a couple of ideas to the table, but what I'm thinking is Complexity continues their style and then really hopes that LG comes in and then they just try to reset for a 3rd party immediately.
Yeah, it seemed like Complexity might have been caught off guard by LG because they were dealing with, I believe it was, E8? I was looking to try and come in for a 3rd party up against Complexity and kind of fended that one off. And then out of nowhere, Yanya ends up getting 1 knock onto Complexity, and the dominoes kind of fell there. But we're joining on board with KCP. We were talking about the tale of 2 teams in that last game. It was KCP running the north side of the map. It was LG running the south side. But we're joining on board. Oh no, CLG's already gotten 1 knock onto Yanya.
Yeah, what is going on? It's wild to see CLG now going on over towards this side. So more adjustments being made, and that has to stink for LG. We'll see if they can do anything. Jaguars ends up finding the wingman. Great prowler shots coming in, and Jaguars, can he clutch this one out? It's now a 1v1 against Simi. This is huge for the leaderboard.
And the thing is, he's going to have that door to play off of. He can go for the res onto Mama, bring him back up. It's going to be a 2v1. Missile Storm comes in, but it does not grief that door, so they will be able to get a full heal off in just a moment if you can buy him some time for that. And it looks like he's trying to make his way on in, but throughout all this, Mamba is healing up, and CLG make the tactical decision to get rid of LG early on. And this is just a game of adjustments for squad. CLG want to run that kind of same game plan that LG had in that last game, and now LG about to get sent back into the lobby in just a moment as Demi finds the angle, knocks out LG.
That's heartbreaking for LG. I mean, they could have had another pop-off game there, but CLG, it's a game of adjustments, and they continue to learn and strategize how they could best take this lobby down, and that's a great start. Addition with subtraction. Vizio now looking like they want to take another fight. KCP finds another fight over towards the side. Verhulst and Cerdell getting some kills, but Vizio now takes a lot of damage.
Oh, and the heal gets canceled onto Borden, who's trying to hit up that cell. But he's going to go for that peek, and he's dropped down to 10 HP. Blitzen doesn't seem like he has any heals of his own, but he does find the knock onto Kuya there, taking him out. Possibly bringing this down to a 2v1. Borden still trying to heal up, and Voltic ends up finding the knock. Borden now left with only about 55 HP, trying to play around these 2 knockdown shields. Hits for blue, and that is not what you want to see in this 1v1. Voltic down to his last syringe now. The 100 HP for him at this point. Taylor is up as well. Foot Esports with the 2v1. Try to go for that peak now. Nice Q out to give information as the gravity lift is going to be used here, creating a lot of confusion for Foot Esports. But with that said, they're going to go for that full reset now. Get Kuya back up, and it's going to be a 3v1 for them.
Yeah, there's a reason why you go for the res, mainly because you want to get the 3v1, but also, most importantly, you want to try to avoid the third party that's coming through. I'm a little surprised to see Voltic not avoid the knockdown shield fight and throw his grav lift down and approach the situation that way, but right now, Taylor's going to play cleanup duty, find where these last players are located, and there is the player on the ground that he's been looking for so he can continue to get some more loot, because it is fairly early in the game, and he has no ammo, no resources, and it's time to full heal.
Yeah, so just a great third party coming out from Foot Esports here. We'll see if we can find a little bit more. It does seem like we've got another fight taking place. Girls got a game. Already taking out 2 members of Team Mystic. That's Team Mystic going full on out. Girls got a game, picking that one up here at the Prowlers camp now. Even getting the res. We're already down to 17 squads. Really keeping up pace with our games from yesterday. And it's just Zone 1 beginning to close. Taking a look at the ring, it is pulling down here towards the Cenote Cave. And for a team like Team Aurora, who have been playing center zone almost all of our games, they're going to be happy to see this one, but it's just a little bit ambiguous as to where it's going to go inside of Cenote Cave.
Yeah, there's a lot of different buildings that this one could end up pulling on over towards, but it could also house a lot of teams, and the teams that have been playing a little timid are the teams that are getting pushed by these Horizon compositions, and a majority of our top teams are rocking these compositions that are so great at infiltrating inside buildings right now. AP is one of those top teams that looks like they want to do some serious gatekeeping, but a lot of the action is going to come on from that east side. Esports Arena now trying to loot over towards the down beast area, not finding the best loot today. Every time we've seen them, they've had maybe triple grays or maybe some blues. Maybe this will help them right here. The Ash Portal going to go right on over towards Phony Head. The shots connecting and just line them up there for Phony as he hits Wingman after Wingman, switching on over to the R301. And that's 2 members already going down. The Ash Portal directly into another player. That's not what they were expecting.
And the enemy does have to be a little bit careful, but they do back away to heal off. Phony Head, it looks like only slow heals for him, as enemy will get a quick armor swap for himself if he wants to. But no, he's getting tagged up as the third party is coming in, and Esports Arena have to be careful here at the downed beast. They need to take the time to heal up. It's E8 coming in for the third party, and there's even more teams in on that north side as E8 give chase. And for E8, they're fine with teams showing up. They want to find all the kills as possible because they have fallen down on the leaderboard just a little bit. Using that gravity cannon, one will get away, but E8 have to deal with another threat. The gravity lift being utilized here. Another gravity lift chaining that one in as they're looking to try and get that knock in just a moment. E8 chasing for a little bit more.
Nice spray. Good job switching on over towards the Volt there from Golden. And E8, while they haven't had as much team fights as they would like to get, they've been one of our strongest team fighting teams overall. Remember that 2v3 that they had, that was fantastic going up against Team Vizio. They've really started to turn up here as Hill finds some work with the car on over towards the side. This is going to be Atlanta Premier doing the gatekeeping job that we were talking about. 2 knocks now and only 1 player alive. AP looking extremely healthy even if a third party did come in.
Now, Complexity might be coming in from the flank. They have to be careful about that. It looked like the south side was fairly free for the rotate, so it should be quick for them, but for AP, it's a clean team fight, and so they don't really have to worry about the reset for the third party, but they are playing like they are getting third party. Really quick reset for them. Kraber now in the hands of Crook, and doesn't have a lot of shots to try and deal with this squad. Heady coming in. That's the 210, the knock onto Himalayas, and now Girls got a game, got to recover real quick.
Yeah, the problem is Hill is going to advance and then hit the scans, but also stop the healing that's coming in from Himalayas. There is the Watson fences, very well placed there as Wink's trying to gather some information on the Valkyrie. At this point, though, you're stuck inside the building, and that's where Horizon is going to really push, but they don't have the Horizon. They're rocking the double scan legends coming in, so a little minor change coming in from Atlanta Premier, and that could stop the push coming in. Yeah, Himalayas gets knocked again. Winks does as well, but they've taken a lot of damage. They need to reset, and this could remind us of what happened in the previous game where they take down Girls Got a Game, but they get third-partied immediately.
This is going to be a clean fight for them, though. They even have that beacon, or excuse me, the interception pylon to go for the slow heals throughout all of this, but they're not going to take that. They'll just go ahead and pop the bats, pop the med kits, and get themselves topped off. No signs of Complexity because they are fighting Vizio, who I don't know if they were able to recover. It looks like it was a skyward dive getting punched there coming out from them. Complexity picking up 1 knock onto Sung, and they will go ahead and give chase. Monsoon now chasing after them. does spot them out all the way at the end. The gravity lift has been used as well to try and get him inside, or at least behind some cover, but Monsoon is right on top of them for now. They got extremely far off of that, but Mon will continue to give chase. This is what Complexity wants. They downloaded the lobby. Once again, they saw that LG got knocked out. The south side is a little bit more free, and that's Vizio getting knocked out in 13th.
Nice job by Monsoon using the passive there from Horizon on the Grav Cannon so he could continue to get some more area. Now, if you are playing Horizon, one of the things that you want to do is you want to land on the lip of the Gravity Canyon and then continue to slide down. You can go almost halfway across the map with that one, and absolutely full sends you. His foot is going to pick apart some of these boxes that they took down. Serdell, speaking of getting some kills, Verholt's going to answer that one, and that's going to be KCP taking down University of Arkansas Apex. This lobby's starting to heat up.
Yeah, they're just picking up where they left off in that last game for now. They still have a ways to go. 11 squads remaining at this point. Zone number 2 has only a minute left, and there's just been so much action. We saw that it was pulling down towards Cenote Cave. It should continue to do so. We won't be surprised when we see another scan landing right on top of that. But for our teams, they're not even considering it. They know that it's going down there. Now there's all about finding the action ahead of them. KCP, though, from that north side, it looked like at the beginning of the game, there were a lot more teams on the north side of the map, and so this could work out in their favor. Right now, though, they are in Jurassic Park, and they're going to take their time to heal up, find some ultimate excels. Looks like there are a few teams still roaming around, but it's going to be Esports Arena. We got X-Rocker as well. In the vicinity on the south side, it's going to be Complexity versus CLG, and throughout all of this, Foot Esports possibly looking for a third party on that engagement.
And this is why it hurts for LG so much. You can see the teams that are still available that are highlighted on your screen. A majority of these teams are on that first page of the leaderboard, if not all of our top 5 teams. CLG, KCP, Esports Arena, Atlanta Premier, Complexity, Foot Esports was top 5 before we started. E8 starting to climb up on that leaderboard. So that 50-50 that CLG and LG had originally at Fish Farms just means that much more.
Looks like Complexity will just go for a skyward dive along with CLG to get into zone. You know that they're not going to find as much action out here. Complexity might be landing on to Atlanta Premier. They've got to be careful because they've got 2 hungry teams behind them as well. Monsoon spotting out that AP squad, but they need to be watching their backs, and no one's actually currently keeping an eye on it for now, and so they could get caught out, but it looks like they will slow things down just a bit. Get more information about the lay of the land here, and I'm glad that they do so because I was getting a little bit anxious for them.
It's definitely the right word, is anxiously looking for some kills. As you see Monsoon on your screen, definitely been one of the MVPs of the day today. Now Foot Esports in a little bit of a scuffle over towards the side. Kuya taking a lot of damage. Going to elect for the Phoenix kit coming forward. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a CRQ in the area. There it is. And it doesn't stop Kuya quite yet. He's going to be able to get this one off. Good timing there and good positioning to avoid that Q coming through. And also the exhibit being placed down buys them just a little bit of time and also scares off any competitors that want to go and push this building. At a certain moment, though, Jamerson, you can see Foot dropped from, top 5 now to almost outside of the top 10. They're going to have to go for a skyward dive on the outside of this building.
Yeah, there's 4 big teams here, and they do not want to deal with that smoke, so they're going to go ahead and use that skyward dive, maybe try and get themselves into Cenote Cave from Barometer over here. They have been spotted, but they are not taking damage from the bullets quite yet. It is all just ring damage. All of them are going to have to hit that syringe once they land, but no, they're not electing to go in. They're going to stay on the bridges on the outskirts of Cenote Cave, and so that signals to me that they are still looking for the fights. They don't want to get in quite yet for Esports Arena. They ended up losing out on enemies super early on, were never able to recover, so they're just a 2-man and the only 2-man in the lobby currently as they make their way into Cenote. We do have about 3 or 4 teams currently inside. I know Team Aurora is here. AP was just on the outskirts as well on the south side. So now a lot of their teams that have been trying to slow play things, once again, finding themselves in this, I want to say late game circle, but it's only zone number 3.
Yeah, late game based on the amount of teams that have been eliminated. We'll call it that, as ESA with just the duo we talked about yesterday on World's Edge, how strong the duos were, finding themselves out of 3 out of the 4 games, making their way into the final 3, so it's completely doable there for ESA, as KCP now looking like they want to start a fight out here. The EVA 8 from Nasky has been so strong today. The flatline and 3X a great combo as well, especially when you include that purple mag. But this has to be, in the hands of Serdell. Really, Serdell needs to come through and find some great grav lifts and also hit that black hole if possible. But it looks like they're passing the gold helmet on over to Verhulst, maybe to get some more missile swarms a little bit faster, or maybe even the skyward dive to get out of here.
Yeah, it has to be the skyward dive for them. He did just use that missile swarm as well, not getting much effect, and it looks like it was extremely close. They just wanted to use that with 30 seconds left to go. Not enough time to take a fight here. It would have been a grief if they did, and so we'll go ahead and work their way on in, and they're actually skyward diving into the direction of Foot Esports, and they'll be trailing behind. No one from Foot actually keeping an eye on their back right now, as they do have that full threat of ESA behind them. It seems like Foot was able to hear them out, and now they're getting gatekept by 2 squads, ESA, Foot Esports, but there's an opportunity for Foot Esports to actually get the flank onto ESA right now. It's that 2-man, and they do get some decent damage off onto KCP, but they'll have to back away again. This position is not a tenable one, really, especially considering that KCP will have that trident to try and re-maneuver for themselves. Fury taking a lot of damage. They still need to work their way into the zone.
That's a great point, is if ESA is able to, hold their own, the third party from Foot is going to come in. But what happens right here for KCP is they don't recognize ESA as a duo. They haven't gathered that information because on the descent of their skyward dive, that's where they would have gathered that information, and that's right when they were actually landing. So big damage coming in, playing big, as Fallout likes to call out right there, that they were able to push KCP off, and KCP is going to have to take a new route. But once they filter into this building, that's going to allow KCP to own some real estate directly in front of them.
Yeah, ESA, though, do find a building at the very least to play inside of. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult for any teams, really, to try and get that clean 2v3. They have been scanned out, and now they've got KCP coming up behind them, and Phony takes a lot of damage. I said it was going to be difficult, but when you open up with damage like that, and you've got the scans, and you've got the singularity coming in on that stairwell, there's the nades as well. Dell does have to be careful because he leaves himself exposed to the other squads inside of Cenote, but they get that first knock onto Fury, leaving only 1 remaining for ESA, and it's just a matter of time. Again, you can see how much of a nuisance all the other teams around them are being right now, making sure that KCP can't get these kill points. And there might be an opportunity with Foot Esports coming in for the third party to allow ESA to try and get that res.
Nice job from Verhulst recognizing the situation. Where could he find cover? So many teams looking on over towards this side, understanding there are 2 very talented teams that need to get focused. And now Phonyhead, he's just trying to get out of dodge and run away. Unfortunately for him, there's another player right in front of him. Seer, hello. You could scan that player. I'm not quite sure if you know what Seer does.
Check your corners, and he should be able to pick him up. But no, it's going to be the scan coming out from the Bloodhound that catches him out. He does at least get the bat off to keep himself alive for right now, but he still needs the slow heal with these syringes, and he does get caught on the Micro Jones. That Q coming in from that Seer, and so Phonyhead will have to reposition himself once again, now playing off the rooftops. Again, there's so many teams still alive inside here now. Phonyhead running out in the middle of nowhere. That's going to be E8 picking him off. ESA have not had a great start to the day. They go down early once again. I don't know if they picked up too many kill points in this game at all, but only getting 2 placement points is not going to help in their endeavor to try and stay up top right now. For E8, though, they are on an upward trajectory. They find themselves inside of the spider caves right now, but they still have a ways to go to make it safely inside the next zone.
I like that play from Mercy. I mean, you're in a pretty vulnerable spot. You want to gather information as much as possible, so tossing down that exhibit buys you a little bit of time to make your next decision, because this is one of the more important decisions in this round. Round 4 is always a very unforgiving round as the circle really starts to close. KCP finding Twitch Big. That's going to be University of Arkansas Obsidian going down, and now DePressley gets answered right back. That's going to be Verhulst. KCP continues to heat up.
This is our now second place squad. Remember, with LG going down, they were not able to get any points at all whatsoever. KCP now lead them by 1 point. We still have Complexity alive throughout all of this, keeping pace with them. So this might actually come down to a 3-horse race. KCP, though, find another knock. That's going to be Voltic going down, and now KCP playing off that north side. Will they be able to get the flush? Do have that angle. Unfortunately, though, Verhulst is not able to try and secure that thirst at the very least, and that would have been an important thirst to get because they do want to clear out this north side.
They do get that one. Nasky's able to finish it off. Also a little bit of help from the zone. Never hurt anybody, and KCP finds themselves in a great position to potentially win back-to-back. But this is the team standing directly in front of them. It's Complexity, and they're looking extremely healthy, especially with CLG taking down LG in that 50-50 early on in the game. Really helps the rotation going forward. Now Monsoon trying to put in work with the car 2X massive in his back pocket. Still has a little bit of ammo for his light reserves as well. So that's one of the beauties of the car, especially in competitive play when you are really starting to struggle on that ammo situation. But you have to have a presence here. That's exactly what Monsoon is doing, laying down some serious damage, not taking any damage to boot, but now where you have to be a little bit careful. 30 shots left, that's going to only be 2 clips, maybe 1.5 overall, so just trying to scout out for ammo as much as possible, and there it is. You also have a box directly in front of you, so Monsoon replenishing those reserves, and now he can get back to work.
By the way, this is 2 games in a row where the team that ends up changing their drop spot has the ring pulling towards their original drop spot. CLG making that shift, going over and contesting LG over at Fish Farms. Well, the ring pulls over to towards Cenote. Right now, Complexity in a great spot. Their building is not in, but it does look like they have some cover to work with. They've got that crafter along with that mobile respawn, the respawn beacon providing a little bit cover if it is a bit open ground there, but they've got multiple teams now also vying to come in from behind, and that is the big threat. That's going to be Foot. Not Foot. That's going to be KCP actually making their way on in. Looks like a skyward dive coming out from them, landing on top of AP. They have to deal with so many teams. They got CLG, Aurora, all on this one building for now. And it looks like a small corner of it is available for AP. They use the skyward dive of their own to try and get away from that fray. But it's KCP just holding the line, getting the knock onto Dimmy. But Nasky's taking a lot of damage here on the rooftop. He needs to be careful. CLG, will they be able to recover Dimmy?
Great shots right there with the flat line. Now CLG is going to be on the ropes. It looks like they only have one more player remaining. And now the push is coming in over towards the bottom floor. They don't want to stay on the roof. It looks like it's a little bit overexposed. And now Serdell putting in work with that EVA 8 in flat line. FU2 Esports going out. The black hole going down. Complexity taking full advantage of that. Caught in a rock in a hard place right here. Plus an arc star on the ground. Nobody from Complexity interested in shooting this black hole. They're just going to let that one disappear, and now they have a majority of this fence line to play. CLG going out in 5th place, but the damage was done by KCP. Great job by them. Maybe they could have stayed on the roof right there and laid down some extra fire, but they wanted the kill points.
It's the final 4 squads in Complexity. Our lobby leaders currently first place with 84 points, looking to expand that lead up against KCP, up against LG. Now they've got 9 more kill points that they try and pick up. It was a little bit of a slower game for Complexity. They weren't able to find as many fights on the rotations they were, but now the action is coming towards them. A lot of nades forcing them out of position. They have a team still inside of that building as well that they have to deal with, but it's just that one window that they have to deal with as they back off towards that fence line once again. They want to pick up this +3 for themselves. And Gravity Lift forcing them back, and they are taking so much ring damage as they slide on out. This should be an easy team fight win for Complexity. They're having a little bit of trouble. There it is. Aincred and Gretson going down. Aurora will go down in 4th place. Complexity pick up the +3, leaving us now down to our final 3 squads.
Yeah, Aurora had to make a move. The zone was closing. All 3 members were pushed in. The Newcastle wall goes down. It doesn't really stun anybody. And Atlanta Premier now has Complexity in their sights. It's only Monsoon remaining throughout all of this and playing the low ground, really working out for them. Big burst of damage coming in from Atlanta Premier. And that's what you love to see from Atlanta Premier. If you're an Atlanta Premier fan, they had a slow start to the day. Really haven't been able to get it together after their first 2 games yesterday were just phenomenal. Now they're going to take over the high ground and look for the win. That could leave a little bit of an opportunity for Monsoon to come through and scoop up 2nd place, maybe even win this game, but Atlanta Premier taking it cleanly. Now it's the last player alive, and AP with their 2nd win overall in this tournament. That's going to help them out and move them to 5th in the leaderboard.
And looking at their points total now, 5th place with 72 points overall. LG went down with 74. This is an extremely close top 5, and really, remember, to place in the money, you have to be in the top 4. So this is going to be a race to the finish, it looks like, except for quite possibly for Complexity. If they keep playing like this, getting a top 2 finish with about, 6, maybe 7 kill points to their name, this is a great day number 2 for Complexity.
And it makes you wonder what happens now between CLG and LG. Do they continue to go over towards fish farms, or do they go back to their original POIs? Kind of makes it a little bit of a mind game. If I'm LG, I don't really risk it. CLG is a really good team. They're used to going through 50-50s. We saw that in Series E with Xset over towards Harvester. They don't give up. They continue to go, and they push the envelope the entire time, and they had a pretty solid game in that game too. So if I'm LG, I'm going back on over to Checkpoint. Unfortunate for them, but that also comes and helps Complexity out.
Yeah, it really is dog eat dog at this point, with only 4 positions to earn in the money. $25,000 on the line. 4th and 3rd place will net you $3,000 each. 2nd place at $6,000, and 1st place walking away with a whopping $13,000. And so all of our teams are hungry for that money. But for now, let's go ahead and send it on over to Fallout and Stella to break down game number 3 of Stormpoint for us. Guys, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jamerson. 3 games of Stormpoint done, 1 more to go. And one thing I really love about this format is we actually get to go back to World's Edge. So that could mean the teams that performed yesterday, right? ESA, Atlanta Premier, they looked really, really good on World's Edge. They have a chance to claw back into this. And speaking of clawing back in, Atlanta Premier with a really important game number 7 for them. They finished first with quite a few kills as well, and that should put them back in the top 4 still.
Yeah, I mean, their positioning towards the last circle was really great. I mean, they were playing underneath X-Rocker's team, which was a really smart move because they had cover. All they had to do was focus on Aurora and KCP that was in front of them, so they did a great job of that, obviously. But Complexity also did a fantastic job that game. I mean, they were back on their BS, chasing teams way out in the circle, making sure they could secure every single KP that they could.
Vizio.
So, yeah, I know, Vizio. But yeah, I don't know. All the teams are finally finding their map footings, so it seems like they are getting used to Stormpoint again, which is a little bit unfortunate because the next game is the last one on Stormpoint. But you do bring up a good point about World's Edge being the next map. We're going to see a lot of the teams that were excelling on World's Edge come back, and I feel like a lot of teams might be banking on that, which Atlanta Premier might be. But the thing is, KP and placement is still so important, even on these matches. It will make up a lot of the point differences.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one thing, obviously, in terms of Vizio, not the best situation for them. I feel bad, honestly, at this point. Every single game, they're finding themselves in a fight, whether it's against the Kansas City Pioneers we saw in the first or second game of Stormpoint, right? They're getting chased out in zone by Complexity. Vizio just has not been able to have the right footing. But again, these are players, 2 of them at least, Sung and Blitz, have been competing at a top level for a while. Obviously, a relative newcomer as their 3rd. I'm excited to see what a team like Vizio can do to try and stand up against some of the Titan squads. They're in this competition, but overall, Complexity, consistency is really great to see from them. I mean, that's a team that we've talked about time and time again. The highs are high, but the lows are low, and consistency has always been kind of a big question mark. But the reality is, in today's series, they've done a really good job staying consistent across every single game. High kill games, top 3, and the fact that Monsoon was able to rat right there into 2nd place earns them an additional 2 points. And we all know those 2 points could be the difference between 1st and 2nd, or 3rd and 4th when it comes down to the final standing. So.
Yeah, one thing that I do want to point out is that, well, like you said, they are just doing such a great job of learning from their mistakes from yesterday, and they're outperforming today. But
yep.
CLG, I really want to point out CLG. They tried 2 different Valkyrie ultimates towards the end circle, and they have gotten punished for it. So I wanted to see them try to change up that technique, maybe try to get the timing down a little bit better. It is very difficult to play Valkyrie, at least her ultimate towards late circle, really well, especially in these lobbies where you have high-skilled players. So that's something I do want to see them watch out for.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Honestly, as an anecdote, right? If you talk to TSM and Hal and Co. from following their champs performance, which is not up to standards for them at least, they hold it down actually to the Valkults. They said our Valkults are just not as good as they needed to be. It's something that Verhulst needs to work on, and we need to work on as a team. And that is a skill in itself, being able to successfully Valkult. Because at the end of the day, it's high risk, high reward, and Valkult positioning is everything, making sure you're all on the same page and making the right calls. But let's take a look at the replays here. Kansas City Pioneers, they make it to 6th or 7th place, I believe, taking out CLG on that Valkult, like you said. But in the end, they ended up getting aped and pushed to the hands of Complexity, who was just absolutely farming this late game stall.
Yeah, to be fair, CLG... to be fair, KCP did get a little bit greedy with wanting to finish out Foot Esports there, so they weren't able to fully process the fact that there was, of course, another team waiting for them there, which you should always expect in endgame circles. Someone is always going to be looking at you. So they did opt to get the full team wipe, which hopefully that added up in terms of points for them, and they were able to come out on top. But Not quite sure that was enough for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, AP did a great job of just playing their positioning, being able to slowly creep up behind X-Rocker's team towards the end, and then focus their attention back towards Complexity, who had that one rat player. So,
yep. And this is the moment, actually, right before this moment, the production team did a great job showing us the overhead map where all the teams are. And I've actually posted in chat as well. Big fight's about to ensue over towards Down Beast, and it certainly did. ESA had no idea that E8 was nearby. They were trying to grief a team. They were able to successfully do so, but immediately got third-partied by E8, who was able to put ESA in a bad spot. So yet again, ESA not the performance they need here on Storm Point. It's obviously a big part of this story. And then, of course, the Cenote Cave finish, right? Cenote Cave finishes, I think, are so much fun. There's so much cover and real estate to work with that even if you rotate late, you're not necessarily going to be punished because you can still find some type of good positioning. But ultimately, God spot, ultimate high ground, in the best possible positioning will reign supreme still. And Atlanta Premier showed exactly that. The best rotation possible. They went very, very south of Cenote Cave, get themselves high ground, and are able to take out X-Rocker. Kudos to X-Rocker getting second place. And still, my final piece of analysis here, probably the best analysis I'll give all day. I love the fact that we have someone named Nutella in this lobby. The fact that you're talking to someone who every single day in middle school and high school had a peanut butter and Nutella sandwich for lunch. And
Really?
this makes me really, really excited. Every single day. Yeah. From sixth grade to junior year. Senior year, I was 17, 18. I finally grew up a little bit, but yeah.
okay. So then I have to ask, do you have that big Costco jug of Nutella at your house right now?
I don't, but that I'm honestly going to go to Costco and probably make an investment, or Walmart and make an investment in some Nutella after this. You better believe it.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I learned a new fun fact about you. You love Nutella.
I am indeed a fan. But now, jokes aside, nice job right there from X-Rocker. Again, one of our teams, not necessarily a pro team. The bottom 10 teams really in the standings are really so far have been our teams that are not necessarily pro level, but they're still doing everything they possibly can to make these lobbies competitive. And I got to say kudos to them. That's what I love about this format here at the ReWired Fest. Big shout out, of course, to all of our partners who help make this possible. But it's amateur players, it's semi-pro players, it's pro players. It's a combination of everybody. Anyone could have qualified, could have competed. And you love to see some of the diversity in this lobby.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity for a lot of teams that haven't been able to play in competitive tournaments to really just feel out the pacing, see how the maps flow, because it's very different from even ranked, which is, ranked can be good or bad some days. And, when you go into a competitive tournament, you kind of know how other players will be reacting to the map changes and the map flow. But it is a very different beast in and of itself, because it's just, you don't get that kind of level of play in just ranked.
Yeah, that is so incredibly true. Ranked obviously is competitive. It's, obviously, like I mentioned yesterday, jokingly, / actually seriously, diamond lobbies that are way more packed and stacked in late games than these lobbies are. But so they certainly can get competitive. Nothing compares to true pro scrims or pro level or competitive level Apex in custom lobbies like this. It's certainly fun to watch. And those that are maybe just tuning in for the first time or just started tuning in a couple games ago, first off, welcome to the ReWired Fest. Second, just in terms of lay of the land, yesterday teams played 4 games on World's Edge. Today we started with 4 games on Storm Point, but we will be playing an additional 2 games on World's Edge for a total of 10 games, cumulative points across all 10 games. ALGS style, obviously no match point this time around, but 12 points for first, 9 points for second, 7 points for third, and so on and so forth. 1 kill equals 1 point. So that's a little bit different from this to ranked. And in the end, well, we get to watch some of the best Apex we've had a chance to see competitively as a little bit of a prelude to the ALGS Pro League, which will be kicking off here soon. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how everything will end up, because we have no idea how things are going to go on World's Edge. We are making a lot of predictions, but those could be right out the window. Who knows? Because this is still Apex. A lot of things are still up to RNG. It's still up to luck. So that's what makes this game so fun to watch, though.
Yep, that is for sure. And ultimately, one thing that's, yes, there's a bit of RNG in any BR, but kudos to Apex, and it's the reason it's my favorite BR, is probably the least and most mitigated amount of RNG of any Battle Royale by a mile. And that's why you're seeing the pro teams consistently on top. You see teams like NRG, TSM, and Optic and others consistently on top. No other BRs do you see that level of consistency from the top teams and players, which means mitigated RNG overall, which you love to see. But hey, that's going to be enough for us. The casters are ready. The last game of Storm Point is around the corner. This is the ReWired Festival, presented by Monster Energy. We hope you're all enjoying at home. We have 3 more games to go, 1 on Storm Point, 2 on World's Edge, and to cast it all, well, we got Jamerson and we got T-Squared. Boys, take it away.
Thank you so much, Fallout and Stella. That's right. We have one final game here on Stormpoint before we make the swap back on over to World's Edge. And Stormpoint has been an absolute treat for us. So many teams changing their drop spot last minute. LG, like you said, in game number 2, going over to Fish Farms, playing spoiler to Complexity. And then in game number 3, Tom, CLG doing the exact same thing to LG.
Yeah, I love to see these adjustments that have been made, and I wasn't expecting adjustments to be made game to game. Yeah, I was thinking, all right, they strategized overnight, they figured out exactly what they're doing, but minor adjustments from players like Verholst, and all of a sudden the landing spots being adjusted by LG and CLG makes you wonder what's going to happen in this final game.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and join on board for game number 3 of Stormpoints with our winners from the last game if we can, Atlanta Premier. We've had so many 50-50 contests. You had a big question, Tom. Will LG go back to Checkpoint? Will they maintain their position over there at Fish Farms? We'll see LG go back to Cenote. Game number 3 was an absolute absurd one, but it was a great one for Complexity, getting another top finish, really carrying forward that momentum. Despite having that hiccup in our second game of the day, they are still firing on all cylinders right now. It looks like we do have one of our first fights, Shorty, in that first knock, and that thirst onto Matrix. Landing on a PK is one of the nicest feelings when you're taking that 50-50 contest. It looks like they might be losing out on that fight as Divine does go down. But it's Atlanta Premier going all the way over here towards Shipfall to pick up this landing as KCP. We saw them in the 50-50 early on as well, as it looks like they get a knock through the window. That's Verholst picking that one up with a Hemlock on that last little bit of damage there, as they're going to try and hit that res, but there's a window there. There's going to be the re-knock as well. That's 2 going down, as it looks like KCP will be able to find another +3.
Great angle there from Verholst, immediately using the jetpack to get inside of the window. Big burst from the burst weapons, the Prowler and the Hemlock. Purple Rain going down, and fights all over the place, Jamerson.
Oh no, girls got a game though. Once again, winning out in their fights, and they have had a lot of fights to say the least. It was Atlanta Premier though. Again, you mentioned it, 2 games in a row coming in for the third parties, but this time around, it looks like girls got a game. We'll take this fight quickly enough. And now they'll be rotating in for the zone. They've already started off with blue armors, but here's Team Mystic now coming in for the third party to try and punish them, but they're really not in position to do so.
Yeah, Mystic a little bit late to the party over here. This is a very popular area to go and fight too, so expect maybe even more teams to start rolling here shortly. And in order to infiltrate into this area, you have to drop off of the roof. So it's a big question of when do you go, and that's a great exhibit being placed by the enemy team. That's an awesome angle through the roof as well. Not able to connect with any of the shots, but I like the thought process. And again, it's all about ending this fight as fast as possible. Other teams will roll in here to try to take advantage of the fight and pick off the weak players. But at this point, you have to wait for the exhibit to go away. Otherwise, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, there are a lot of these little angles in these slum-like buildings here on Stormpoint. Not quite as, vulnerable as maybe King's Canyon with all the little breaks in the wood there. But it looks like for Team Mystic, they're just kind of losing out on this fight, waiting out that exhibit, and they're going to go ahead and toss down one of their own now. And we'll see if they can try and find an angle. You do have the Watson traps being set up right now. Big 113 shot coming in for Luggy. And now 2 members of Girls Got a Game going down. Team Mystic looking for that final 3rd member, and they will be able to finish them off. We are already down to 14 squads as KCP knocks out X-Rocker in this fight. Esports Arena now looking for a fight of their own currently. On here trying to push up. They've already got 1 knock. That's the second one onto Waffle, and it's only the Caustic remaining. And it comes down to the fisticuffs for Phonyhead there, but they will secure that. 13 squads remaining as Zone 1 begins closing.
Not even time for us to take a breath right here. That's how much aggression's coming in from these teams. E8 finding another fight on over towards the side. Is this going to be the third party that came through? Meanwhile, CLG gets knocked in your kill feed. Aurora goes out. Mystic goes out. We're down to 11 squads. Round 1 hasn't even closed yet.
I have no idea what happened on the drops here, but all of our teams essentially looks like they just dropped on top of each other. Getting our first look at the ring for this game. It is pulling up here. Command Center, Thunderwatch, Stormcatcher all in play. And we do have Foot Esports over at Stormcatcher right now. Vizio, if they want to slow play things, they can play off of Thunderwatch and maybe walk in with the zone. I like being able to play from the north side when it kind of pulls this way, because you have the slide down instead of the climb up. And so I imagine Vizio will want to hold this position. For Complexity, though, our #1 team in the lobby currently, they are looking for some fights, but they have not gotten any coming their way. They do have a team off to their east that they can try and rotate towards. And we were asking about it, right? What happens between CLG and LG? Well, it looks like LG is still alive down there. They're going to go ahead and take that IMC armory for themselves.
Yeah, it's CLG going to a completely different spot. It looks like they were looking for 50-50s overall, just kind of shooting the dice and finding out which team they're going to actually land on. But at the same time, they want to go and play the edge so they can continue to move forward and find fights over and over again. And if the zone does pull towards them, I would almost think they would bail on that situation, say, hey, let's get out of here. Let's continue to add kill points on the board, because at this point, you need to find fights. Otherwise, you're losing out on the points that are available. Looks like we have another fight potentially happening between Foot Esports and an enemy squad directly below where that grav cannon is going to be, and Voltic likes to go for the high ground.
Man, they got to be careful here, taking a lot of these zip lines, but they do make their way up to the high ground for now. Their armor's not the greatest. Double blues along with just that one white for Kuya and Foot Esports. They've slow played a lot of these games, and they were trying to find those mid-game rotations, but mid-game fights. But they're really not going to have an opportunity here. Already down to 11 squads, and so they're not going to have that chance to maybe try and find a fight more on even footing. At this point, all the teams involved in fights have worked their way up towards purples and blues across the board. So Foot Esports will basically on the back foot at this point, but they do at least have a late game position for themselves.
Yeah, there's a lot of area to go and cover over here too, so you got to be a little bit careful that you need Taylor to be on his seer scans consistently to find out where the aggression could potentially come from. But things are going to slow down just temporarily. I mean, there's a lot of maps still to be used as round one ends up closing, and we still have these 11 squads that happened when it first started to close originally. But this is a tough fight for ReWired. There's almost no way that you could go up this zip line, and as soon as that happens, all the focus fire is going to go towards your side. So if you're ReWired, you just want to consider getting out of here and skyward diving.
Yeah, and if you're Foot Esports, this is actually one of the best positions to have. One of the best teams to try and fight off against, because again, those early fights for those squads, they've already worked up towards blues and purples. This is one of the few squads that are still sitting on whites and blues, and they did get the armor checks onto them. They can try and full send it onto them. But it's Esports Arena now, rotating around on the northern edge as the gravity lift has been used. They spotted out a team ahead of them, but Ponyhead's going to have to take a moment to heal up, and they do have that drop, but E8 is right on top of them for now. They know that no one is on that quite yet, and there it is. They've got the exhibit down, but it's just outside of reach of that squad. And Elevate, we'll see if they want to continue to chase after them, and with that arc star, they might be able to if they slow anyone down, but no. They don't catch anyone on it quite yet, and it's Mercy now on that Seer looking for any information, but that squad has given them basically the smoke and gotten out of here. So E8 not able to find another fight quite yet, and there's multiple rotation options for that squad. They didn't take the gravity cannon. They might have just hoofed it here and maybe worked their way towards the north side.
Yeah, Mercy tossing out his Q even though he didn't hit any scans. Was able to find a little bit of a heartbeat on over towards the side. Also has a player on over towards his left. So this is going to be two different squads potentially pushing on E8.
Yeah, gravity lift, charge rifle combo coming out for that team. Just doing some damage to Mercy, but he does have bats in the backhand as Esports Arena are trying to back away. They do have a nice crossfire setup, but they are playing off from the low ground. Nice little headies and angle setup for Fury there, though, at the very least, to try and keep them contained. But they are separated, and if E8 are able to kind of isolate that one out, go for the full send onto one, they will go for it. But E8 have the superior positioning for now. Esports Arena, though, all they need is just some opening damage.
And that's a great weapon to do the opening damage with. The Scout R301 combo. Plenty of ammo in the back pocket, too. I also like the idea of putting your better mag on top of the Scout, because that's going to be your primary weapon. When you get that R301 up close, you're still going to be able to put in some serious work, but you need to, with a single-shot weapon, have as many of those shots as humanly possible. But it's tough now, Jamerson. I mean, with so little squads, you're wondering where is the action? When will the action continue to pick up? Gold backpack coming in for one of the members of E8. Also a Scout with the purple mag here for Golden, and E8's been a very strong team today, but again, where do you find the action? KCP finally finds some, and it looks like all of the resources being used.
Yeah, over here as they continue this push now, KCP get the huge damage onto Vizio, and they might knock them out early once again. Sung does trade back for Nasky, There's the thirst for that quick armor swap. They'll be able to chase after this final remaining member. Verholst is really just firing on all cylinders today as he continues to push the issue, gets that finish onto Team Vizio, who ends up going down now in 11th place. It's KCP with at least 8 kill points to their name. They have a huge possibility of finishing off strong now. Complexity, though, are above them. You've got Monsoon with that angle right now, but he's not able to find an opening. So Complexity, it's been a slower game for them. They don't have any kill points to their name currently, unfortunately, as it looks like a lot of squads are just avoiding that northern side, that southern side of the map.
And that's the first damage Monsoon was able to do. And unfortunately, everybody on his squad was very split up. They're going to go and hit the scan going into the next round, but it's pulling on over towards KCP. And KCP bullies their way on top of Vizio. Because the fight didn't last as long as Complexity would have hoped for, they weren't able to drop down in third party. But look who's waiting in the wings. All of our top teams right there waiting in the circle. You have 2 teams over towards the south, AP and Foot. ESA moving in from the west side, coming in over through Command Center. And right now, it makes you wonder, what will E8 be able to do here? They have CLG that they're gatekeeping over towards the side. They're hitting the Replicator. Eventually, they're going to have to make their way over towards ESA and deal with all these talented squads.
Now, if CLG are just kind of focusing their crafting on getting med kits, they can rotate all the way through the north. They can just tank up the ring damage. This is so early on in the game that it's almost negligible at this point. For ESA, it might actually behoove them to kind of slow things down and still continue to play the edges because, again, they've been slowed down. They started off the day with about 66 points, and they haven't really put on that much since then. And so they need to start catching up with the way the other teams in the lobby have been playing. Right now, they are currently in third place with 80 points overall. And after 3 games, that's not quite what you wanted. Only about 14 points that they were able to get across 3 games. So the other consideration might be that, you know, they just kind of want to play consistent. They want to stay in the money. It's the top 4, that place at this point. So that could be their consideration at this point.
Also consider who is successful on World's Edge, because after this we are moving on over towards World's Edge, and ESA looks like they had that on lock. They've slowed things down when it switches on over to Stormpoint because of their 66 point performance yesterday. That's bought them a little wiggle room, but all of that wiggle room has now been gobbled up by teams like Complexity and KCP, who have had these crazy pop-off moments, and it's going to get very interesting once these teams do start duking it out. And honestly, it's going to be slow here for the next round or two. I'm not really anticipating more than 1 or 2 fights.
Yeah, we did note that ESA, they started off the day with a 21-point lead over second place. So that was basically a full game, already gone, now down in third place, but they are still keeping themselves in the top 4. They've got a crafter here to play off of too, and plenty of credits actually for Enemy if he needs the extra heals. He doesn't have a medkit, so you might want to try and pop one of those for himself at the very least. But for right now, it's all about positioning, waiting for teams to come up behind them possibly to pick up some free kill points. It's been 10 squads for a little whiles now since Vizio did get knocked out from Team KCP. And like you said, a lot of our top 5 teams still alive. We've got Complexity, KCP, Esports Arena roaming around, and Elevate, I believe, looking for the fight. CLG on the northwest side of the map as well. 30 seconds for this zone to close, and there's really no issue for Esports Arena. They have to leave this area when they have multiple rotation options. They can take that gravity cannon if they wanted to. They can use a skyward dive from this nice elevated position as well.
Yeah, a lot of great points there, Jamerson. A lot of different routes that they could take, and the elevation is key, so you can really pick and choose where you wanted to go. But E8, they're a little bit stuck. When we saw with that mini map what they were able to do, there's a lot of squads that are looking in the vicinity, potentially collapse on them. The black hole is going to go down. That's not able to connect. And now they have the enemy team on the run. All 3 players directly on top of each other. Big damage from Golden.
I'm wondering if that was CLG or if that was Complexity on the drop down, but that was a huge punish, and CLG somehow stay alive. You can see how close Nano and Dimmy both were to going down. Dimmy slow healing throughout all of this, still needs to hit that med kit at the very least as they start sliding in. So very fortunate is CLG to stay alive, but for how long is Dimmy will go down? That's Elevate picking that one up, and I don't know if he's in a recoverable position. The ring closing in behind him as well. Mamba still sliding in. He is taking so much damage. Does almost crack one, but he is falling low. Nano is spearheading the way for him and clearing the path at the very least, and they survive for now, but they're still getting chased down. That's going to be Verholz picking up that knock onto Mamba, and CLG will fall.
I like the thought process, but at a certain time, it could have been better just to split up there, because you're virtually just running the enemy players directly in. and the Rampage not really as strong as it used to be. I'm not even quite sure if anyone's going to end up picking that one up unless they do have a weak secondary weapon. Now AP getting involved onto foot. The Beast of the Hunt being popped, double scan legends coming through. It's going to be a matter of time before Foot ends up being taken down, but some great patience coming through on the backhand side, and the kill leader continues to pop off with kills. E8 going down, Verhol's going to pick those up.
Huge game now coming in for KCP, who are currently our second place team in the lobby, but with the way that things are going, they might have actually taken over first place position with the kills that they've gotten, but it's AP right now looking to finish off Foot Esports. Only one more remains, and Atlanta Premier will pick that up. Our winners from our last game now continuing on with that momentum, bringing us down to our final 5 squads here in zone number 4. AP, though, still have to work their way up towards that high ground. It's going to be pretty harrowsome for them to try and deal with that. If any team has sightlines on it, it is Esports Arena right now on top of Thunderwatch. Will have that best angle, but they are getting challenged for this height.
Wonder what team this could be. Is it going to be KCP directly down below them, who took this spot fairly early? And it is going to be. So a lot of our teams that are duking it out for first place are going to be in this final match in Storm Point. If you guys are just joining us, $25,000 up for grabs at this LAN inside of the Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Thank you guys so much for joining us. $13,000 for first place. Top 4 are getting paid out in KCP. They've gotten as high as 2nd overall and now find themselves in 4th place.
Remember, our highest frag win has been by Complexity, 216 kill wins for them, and now KCP really giving them a run for the money at this point, as Verls, 8 kills, 5 assists to his name, with another team in their sights right now, but they're getting beset upon by those Syracuse, as they're just going to wait out the scans here. They still have to be worrisome of the team above them, but they want these kills. They know that this is a huge game for them. For KCP now in 4th place with 76 points. They still have a little bit of ways to make up in comparison with Team Complexity, who I believe might still be playing up top there. But for right now, KCP will slow things down. There it is. It's going to be Team Complexity that are able to make their way into the final zone, but they are getting focused down by so many squads, taking a lot of damage. But they do have a lot of heals in the back pocket. Unfortunately for them, those heals don't go well with the armors that they currently have. The purple for Shiny and the blue for Monsoon as he does go down. Lux now receiving the next focus here. Will try and stay alive. They might have a moment to get Monsoon back up, though.
Great job crawling to some safe cover, but the charge rifle coming in, and now he realizes, all right, I need to back off just a little bit, but CLG now pinching on over towards the side. Monsoon doing whatever he can to use that knockdown shield. Arc Stars coming in, Black Hole coming in, and sometimes, Jamerson, you can get to the God spot, but just a little bit too early there. Complexity putting themselves in a tough position.
Oh, things are looking real bad. This is where Shiny wishes he was on that Newcastle. Monsoon has been finished off, and Lux is just bleeding out. LG is on top of them to finish things off. Castillo is low, though. The Arc Star comes in, but that only connects onto the down player. Lux will get finished off, and now Shiny trying his best to rat it out. Never mind. KCP will pick that one up, and that brings us down to our final 4 squads. AP, KCP, LG, along with Esports Arena here for the final circle.
LG now using that grab lift to get back on over towards safety. Nice little jetpack coming in as well, as AP finds themselves in another great spot. We saw this previously where they took the low ground. It worked out very well for them. Double charge rifle knock coming in for Phony Head. And it makes you wonder if that's exactly where Complexity went. Did LG have another play? The zone really isn't moving quite yet. Could they have stayed safe on over towards the side? Phony Head just griefing the lobby. He's going to drop Jaguar as Pastillo is re-knocked as well. And Atlanta Premier may end up just falling right back into the same trap. Will they charge and try to pick up these kills where LG is, or are they worried about KCP above them?
Nice scan out from enemy just to make sure that they're known, as Yanya ends up getting the knock onto 1. That's Phony Head going down. But with our last 3 squads, 2 of them stacked on top of each other here, is going to allow ESA to go for that free res and get him back up into this game. So Phony Head now being able to push out, securing that last kill onto them. It's our final 3 teams: Esports Arena, KCP, and Atlanta Premier. But for Esports Arena, they definitely have the advantage here. They've got the 2 teams stacked on top of each other. They just need to not make a mistake. And, well, what's better than a mistake? Getting a knock onto Crook. But can they finish him off?
Or you have the enemy teams make a mistake and then you capitalize on that. That's a great point, Jamerson. These 2 teams are staggered directly on top of each other. Can't get too greedy for the kills over here. You can see the res potentially coming in for AP, but it's not quite yet because KCP is filtering on over towards the door, and ESA needs to play big right here. The scout in hand, the R301 as the backup as well. AP gets dropped in third place, and now it's all up to ESA. Verholst says no, the kill leader coming through. Fury gets knocked next, and that's the last thing you want to do is go toe-to-toe with Verholst.
Armor swap 1v1 enemy. Verholst is able to secure the win for KCP here in the end. What an amazing finish. Oh my goodness, Verholst does it again.
The kill leader for a reason popped off. I think he had 11 kills in that game. Nasky said he was nuts. We all knew he was crazy. TSM Verholst playing for KCP. What a win right there. We had 3 of our top 4 teams in that final circle, and you really couldn't ask for a better ending. That has to sink for ESA just a little bit.
Absolutely fantastic play, though, just being able to play off that. ESA had the openings, but Verholst has been on fire these last few games, and honestly, being able to survive that, get that armor swap, it was just unfortunate how they approached that last fight for ESA, kind of splitting up, setting up for that crossfire, and Evan was able to take advantage of that. What a fantastic finish for KCP. Let's go ahead and send it on over to Fallout and Sella to break down our final game of Stormpoint.
Thank you, T-Squared. So much to break down. When I say so much, I mean one thing and one thing only. TSM Verholst, the 1v2 clutch for the bread. And the way that he did it, Stella, too, I can't wait to run that back via replay. I mean, he had an original 1v1. I think it was against Fury, and he dominates that one. They, of course, got some close shots. He was down about 30 or 40 HP, hits the shield swap, and immediately has the wherewithal to play with confidence to push Enemigo and control the 1v1 cadence to win that one as well. 1v2, KCP on top, secures an extra 5 points right there with just that play from Verholst.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for ESA there because they did a great job of trying to push as soon as they could, but unfortunately they pushed a little bit too individual on the team, so that did end up separating it into a 1v3, just 1v1 after another, which was unfortunate there.
Yeah, and I gotta agree with you. ESA, the way that they're actually, it was Fury. Fury made a huge play with the G7 Scout, hit almost every single shot, gets the knock on Atlanta Premier, and then bounces a nade perfectly. By the way, good map awareness to recognize there's basically a tiny little hole in that fence. Bounces the nade, gets damage done on both players, but really, in the end, little did he know he was just setting up KCP for success. KCP was able to drop at the perfect time, collapse on the fight, and despite that, they actually got down into a really, really tough spot. Verholst is last alive, and Verholst goes big to clutch the 1v2. What a game, what a finish, what a way to wrap up Stormpoint here. You'll see some of the replays. Nasty with the cheeky little wall bounce right there. Didn't really do much for him, but still looked good.
It looked cool, which is, you get stylistic points. I mean, they don't count for the tournament,
Exactly.
but, you know. Yeah, KCP did a pretty good job here surviving on their own. But also, I want to point out, though, that Verholst was kill leader starting at 5 squads left. With 5 squads, and that had 8 kills and 5 assists, and that's not even counting all of the kills and assists that he got after 5 squads were eliminated. So he has been absolutely dominating in the lobby today. He's been doing a fantastic job of leading his team in a charge. So, God, no one wants to go up against Verholst right now.
Yeah, that is so true. He's been on fire today. Verholst playing out of his mind. And in the end, the kill leader of that game with 11. Here's the play. Fury pushes up. Verholst is weak. Fury has full health. And Verholst still wins this 1v1. How? Obviously, an SMG over a G7 Scout in a close range fight, but still with a 75 HP disadvantage. Immediately gets the shield swap and takes out Enemigo. Enemigo just basically gets caught with his pants down because I don't think Enemigo expected Verholst to push with such aggression right there. I mean, he knew Verholst was weak. He got the call from his teammate that, hey, he's damaged significantly. He's going to be healing back up. And Verholst says, yeah, no, hold this. Gets the shield swap, pushes wide right, and takes out Enemigo, catches him slipping. I mean, that was just absolutely insane still. A great play from Verholst as we get ready to take a look at the leaderboards here.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, also, we did see them kind of funnel into the fight, which was not how you want to push a team fight, especially when you know that the other team member is so low. But here we have the leaderboards to see how Verholst has been just dragging his team up the scoreboard today.
Yeah, second page. Meanwhile, I'm excited to flip over to the first page. And as a result of the last performance from the Kansas City Pioneers and Verholst, they will take first place by a margin. KCP, after being called out by myself yesterday, go huge in day 2, but they have 2 more games on World's Edge where they struggled yesterday. They got to continue to perform. Complexity right behind them. We've seen great plays from Complexity. Unfortunately for them, they got caught in a bad spot last game and ended up getting 5th place. Esports Arena and Atlanta Premier had a great start yesterday and ended very, very strong here on Stormpoint. And then Luminosity Gaming rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, Esports Arena and Atlanta Premier, if they do hold those 2 spots, they will still go home with $3,000 for each team. But you really want to be vying for first and second place here. And KCP and Complexity might be up in the air because these 2 teams have been extremely strong today.
Yeah, they've been looking really, really sharp. I can't wait. The great story of going back to World's Edge again. I love this format, right? And again, I mentioned it last time, but just in case people just tuned into that last game, maybe you saw a couple tweets about what Verhulst is doing. Welcome to the ReWired Festival. We have a 10-game series, continuous day over day. 4 games yesterday, 6 games today. 4 on World's Edge yesterday, and the story there was really all Esports Arena and all Atlanta Premier. Today, well, it's been all Kansas City Pioneers and all Complexity. KCP did not show up very big yesterday, and now going back to World's Edge for 2 more games. The big question mark is, will these teams continue their momentum and perform on World's Edge? That's what we're all wondering and waiting to find out still.
Honestly, I think that they will keep up the performance that they've been showcasing on Stormpoint because it's been about 4 games on Stormpoint and there are less rotations that you have to consider for World's Edge. So I feel like they'll be a little bit tighter on how they do work together as a team for World's Edge. However, that could be a little bit faster of games, so maybe they'll get caught off guard by how many teams decide to push them. So we'll see where they decide to land today, and I think that might set the pace, but unfortunately they only get 2 games. So if the first game is you getting used to where everyone's landing, what kind of loot you're going to be getting, and the second one is your real match, that's not giving yourself a lot of time to rack up those points.
True. Yeah, the good news obviously on that front is these teams had 4 games yesterday to kind of let the lay of the land get established, and typically you'll see teams and players before a tournament will actually literally post in Discord saying, we're dropping here, we claim this, don't you dare mess with us. And usually that's respected. Sometimes it's like, nah, we'll 50-50 that, and teams will try and flex and show who's got the bigger cojones in that fight. But I think at this point, after 4 games, it's pretty established where people are going to be dropping. I think the lobby is going to be pretty neutralized. We did see a lot of contested fights yesterday, though. We saw some contention at Lava Siphon down to Tree. We saw some contention over in Climatizer. Those were from our bottom 10 teams, as I know ESA dropped North Climatizer, I think uncontested, but we will see some interesting things from that regard. Complexity dropped Fragment East and was able to get all of that loot uncontested. And then we do know that Kansas City Pioneers, despite dropping in probably the best POI on World's Edge, Trials and Skyhook West, didn't really find a lot of success. And obviously the best because you're guaranteed 3 purple or blue shields. We'll see if Kansas City Pioneers can work on the rotations and fix things a little bit here going into World's Edge. Because the reality is still, they don't drop there normally. They actually change their playstyle up because they recognize this lobby can be a little more free. There's not as many pro teams, and they decided to ego the best drop in this best drop spot in the game. So they abandoned their strategy, and I think their rotations have been a little bit off.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how they do these rotations because you're so used to seeing them land in different positions, right? So I also want to point out that one of the big POIs that I feel like people should not sleep on is Big Mod. If you're able to collect all of the stuff, all of the crafting materials, especially in Mod, and even Lava City just outside of the range, you can craft and pick up some of the best weapons there, which is really great. So I would love to see more teams kind of early fight there. That'd be really fun.
That's a really, really good point. And that's kind of the Optic Gaming special. That's why they play so well in World's Edge, because they get all of Big Mod and they get Lava City. And then if they want, they can rotate south to Dome, or if it's a Dome finish, they're very well poised. In this lobby, it's actually Foot Esports, who did not have a good storm point. 2 more games, and they're about 40 to 50 points behind the top 3 or top 2. So we're going to have to see Foot Esports with some monstrous games, but they will get Big Mod and they will get Lava City uncontested. So that's kind of the lay of the land going into World's Edge. 2 more games to go. And guess what? You're giving the players a quick break, so y'all should take a quick break as well. Grab your popcorn, tell your friends, tweet this out, let everybody know. We got 2 more games of competitive LAN tournament Apex and esports combined as eSpecs. Live from Fayetteville, Arkansas. We're going to jump to a very quick break. When we come back, games 9 and 10 on World's Edge right after this.
ReWired Festival, and thank you so much, all of our viewers at home. We do have to take some extended breaks because when it comes to bio, it becomes a little bit different on land when our competitors have to navigate the Bud Walton Arena there at the University of Arkansas. But this is the big $25,000 Apex Invitational taking place for ReWired Fest. And I'm Jamerson, joined once again by Tom T Squared Taylor, ready to break it down for our final 2 games of the day. Tom, we're swapping off onto World's Edge once again. What can we expect?
Maybe more KCP, maybe more Verholst, because the dude is really heating up, and it's just been impressive to go and watch. And especially when you go and you look at that final moment there, how he's able to navigate the armor swaps directly into that 2v1. You really can't ask for any type of better Apex to be played. The dude is going absolutely nutty. But in terms of adjustments, that's what I'm really looking forward to, because we've seen adjustments game after game. And it started with Verholst backing off a little bit, allowing his teammates to open things up more for him. He was the first player to go down numerous times in game number 5, game number 1 today officially in Stormpoint. And then he just allowed Dasky and Serdell to do what they do, open up the map for him. He comes in, plays the finisher, and he did that extremely well. So I'm curious to see what happens for these other squads that popped off on World's Edge yesterday. Atlanta Premier, how are they going to do over towards the staging side? Are they going to get bullied by CLG? They're also landing right next to ESA, who goes over towards Landslide. Those are the big storylines for me.
Yeah, I just want to say, of course, as Verholst is a huge addition as a sub for KCP. Shout out to Max Strafey that could not attend. He is currently stuck in Ukraine with everything that's going on there. And so we just want to show love to Max Strafey. We wish you were here with us, buddy. And of course, we are hoping for the best there. But let's continue to talk about the games for now. As we saw on the leaderboard, KCP have rocketed to the top. They are currently in the first place position. We still have Complexity, though, still there at 95 points, though, now finding themselves, 16 points down. Esports Arena right behind them by 4 points. And you have Atlanta Premier, who are still maintaining position there in the top 4, but they have some contenders underneath them in LG, E8, even Vizio.
Yeah, all these teams that are on the first page stand a chance, but if you're sitting, 8th through 10th right now, or even 7th through 10th, you're going to have to come through with a big win, almost a complexity-sized win with those 16 kill points. A 30-point bomb would get you right in contention, and then you'd have to have a great final game as well, because we're playing 10 overall. We got 2 more here on World's Edge. We take a look at that second page. A lot of our pro teams finding themselves on that first page, but still some great contestants, some great plays overall. Got a lot of respect for these players, the way that they've been able to battle through this lobby, and we've seen some really great team fights overall, but expect a fast pace if you're just joining us. We had 11 teams when round 1 was closing, 9 team fights that ended up taking place throughout all of that. World's Edge is going to be even more aggressive than Stormpoint was.
Yeah, even though it's been a story of our top 10, still want to shout out our competitors who are still giving us some great moments. Girls Got a Game have been fighting it out almost every single game there on Stormpoint, along with Team Aurora, who have been able to consistently make it into the top 5, top 6 position, but just do not have the kill points behind it really to put them into contention. But it's great to see that even amongst tier 2, tier 3, there is still a lot of talent to be discovered. Hopefully more events like this can happen, where we get to be able to kind of highlight these players. Right now, though, is these teams: KCP, Complexity, Esports Arena, and Atlanta Premier, currently in our top 4, and that is where you need to be to place in the money. KCP, though, have their eyes set on that $13,000 grand prize, and they just need to close out our final 2 games. But it was Esports Arena yesterday that won 2 out of our 4 games.
Yeah, ESA had some serious pop-off moments. Atlanta Premier again came out with the hot start, but I feel like this has been one of the most adjustments that we've seen out of any tournament, even when you consider like the ALGS. There's a lot of freedom for these players to go and make moves, and CLG started rolling on over towards where Atlanta Premier was, over towards that staging side, and has played spoiler. They're almost picking on these teams that have been in front of them, and you would say, hey, maybe CLG would have more points. It's surprising that they've been able to come through and do so well. As we are getting ready to show some replays from yesterday too, I want to show everybody what happened in World's Edge, because it was completely different when what was going on in Stormpoint. Complexity had a great game in game number 3, but you can see here, Vizio, they found themselves consistently over towards the top. LG found themselves there, but this is what Atlanta Premier did. They got first place in game number 1 and then second place in game number 2.
Yeah, and then they did slow down a little bit, I believe only picking up 1 or 2 points in the last 2 games of the day, but they still keep themselves competitive. We're seeing some great aggression out of them on Stormpoint, and we saw that as well. But we're seeing LG actually keeping pace, at least overall, and so they are still keeping themselves competitive. This was such a close fight. Yanya not able to quite secure that one. Atlanta Premier again in game number 2, getting another top finish here, securing, I believe, top 2 as Esports Arena were able to make short work of Foot Esports there.
Really like that wall bounce from Phony into the grab lift to get back on over towards safety. This was the elongated fight that ended up taking place over towards this platform area in the hot springs, going on over towards staging and over towards thermal station. But ESA played this patiently, and that was the key. Foot had them numerous times weak, but wasn't able to get any initial knocks. Atlanta Premier ends up coming in here and eventually taking a couple of angles onto Foot with their own grab lift, and that's been the specialty coming in from AP over those first 2 games. They need to play hyper aggressive at certain times, but then they need to back off a little bit and play passive. That's exactly what they did here.
Yeah, timing and finesse, that is Apex Legends really when it comes down to it. Being able to really take advantage of some mistakes coming out from your competitors, or also just finding the timings to come in. This was extremely close, actually, for AP in the 2v3. There was a small chance, maybe if they were able to hit an armor swap for themselves to really fight back into this, or just get a knock with a heady from a wingman, but it did not go that way for them. Esports Arena were showing how consistent they were across the day. Another top finish for them here in game number 3, but this was ultimately Complexity's win.
Yeah, I love the way Complexity got aggressive for this, and this is the aggression that they carried over today. Like you said, Jamerson, 38 out of their 39 points were established just from this game, and this was the first major mistake that we realistically saw in these final circles. That was where ESA didn't push on over towards where Vizio was. They missed out on about 5 points, and when we look at that overall leaderboard, that 5 points is really going to matter in the grand scheme of things. But here we go. The final 2 games on World's Edge. Game number 9 coming up. The players are getting ready for their legend selection. I'm expecting more of the same for a lot of these pro teams. We're going to be seeing Seer, Horizon, and Valkyrie be into play. We could still see the double scan legends coming out, and maybe we will see some Bloodhound, Seer, and Horizon instead of Valkyrie too.
Yeah, Atlanta Premier and Vizio actually picking up the double scans for themselves here on World's Edge, and particularly for Team Vizio, they do need to catch up, and they do when it comes to these clutch situations. The final 2 games, they can pop off. You see the passion popping off for Team Presley, but for right now, let's go ahead and head into World's Edge for the first time today. It's 2 matches left to go to secure the bag. $25,000 here for the ReWired Festival, presented by Monster Energy and, of course, sponsored by Walmart. This is absolutely massive here. I'm loving the energy that we're getting out of our players. So many great highlight reel plays as well.
No doubt about it. Now we take a look at what's going on with CLG. Looks like they are going for a contest early on. KCP, they got all of Lava Siphon to themselves, but once they all 3 land middle, it makes me see no, they don't have it to themselves. That's typically a strategy that you would do if you are getting contested, and it is Vizio on the opposite side. Jamerson, 2 teams that we talked about heavily before this game started. That's not what you're looking for Blitz. It looks like his entire team bailed on him.
Oh man, really unfortunate, but for KCP, they love to see it. It looks like, yeah, Team Vizio on the north side here, Sung and Borton will not even have an opportunity really to swing back around to pick up Blitzen and get his banners. So they'll be playing this one out as a 2-man. For X-Rocker, though, over at Geyser, they find themselves in an early fight, and they're no strangers to it. They've been taking a lot of fights themselves right now. They do have a 2-man kind of stuck inside. It's going to be a Watson composition kind of keeping them at bay, and they don't really have angles to try and clear out those traps. Maybe if they can sneak in a nade. There is a Thermite in the hands of Puppy to try and clear out the traps for himself. But as we join on board with CLG over at Countdown right now, they find themselves in a fight currently. The scan is picked up, and now CLG will just kind of wait that one out, going for that peek, hitting for blue. Nano is on the flank currently, trying to find that opening. They've turned around onto him, and that's the opening that CLG needed now to push up onto the squad. Not quite connecting until the end there, and they do get the knock, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange as Nano does fall down. They're trying their best to thirst him off. The melee is there, and Nano will stay alive. That's our first squad going down. Aurora will be the next one to fall to X-Rocker.
Yeah, there's some early aggression coming in from 2 teams, and X-Rocker picking up the kills like you were talking about. Vizio, they skedaddled on out. They said, you know what, Blitz, we're not going for you. We're going to go on over towards the tree side, and they're going to have to rethink before they go and challenge the #1 team over towards Lava Siphon. Just an absolute disaster start for Vizio. Almost, borderline unacceptable not to be able to look around at this level of Apex and find out where the enemy team is going to be landing. it makes you question if Blitz was really looking around or if they just had some major miscommunication issues.
It looked like that was a third-party attempt coming out from Vizio, and at the very least, they at least dissuade that team from continuing to loot up. And if they had known that it was just the two men, they could have hung around, picked up that loot. For Vizio, though, they're able to upgrade off of Blues. Taking our first look at the ring, it is pulling up north now over towards Survey Camp and Epicenter. We do have a team over by that beacon, that survey beacon there on the northern side. And right now, it looks like it's just going to be a big pileup of teams on the southeast. For Atlanta Premier, though, they've got a squad in their sight. They've already gotten one knock.
Looking
Atlanta
for some
Premier.
more blood. It's X-Rocker and Purple Rain going down. Girls got a game now on the ropes too. LG fighting a fight. We got 4 different fights taking place as Atlanta Premier now has the double scan legends in effect. Girls got a game going down as Winx was the last member alive, and now Esports Arena also finding a fight over towards the Overlook side. 5 different fights taking place on World's Edge.
A little bit far range for Fury here, but he does at least tag for some damage as LG will knock out our 8th squad. UA Esports going down, leaving us to 12. Enemy Go does find one and does secure the thirst onto Spaceman's 5th. Hitting for flesh is Fury. So the last 2 members of this squad just underneath them. He's waiting for the rest of his team to pull up so that he can make that push on down. Looks like maybe quite possibly it was a third-party attempt as Vizio ended up securing one of those kills onto Lexi Mealy there. So now we're down to 11 squads. Esports Arena, though, in a great position right now. Gold armor, purple for Phonyhead, and the blue onto Enemigo, as this ring will go ahead and continue to pull up to the northwest.
A lot of action, very similar to what happened in our previous game. Now Mystic trying to find their way over towards the tunnel area, but doesn't look like anyone is directly up on the hill, so they're going to be A-okay for now. Double purples and great armor coming in for Loggy, and also a little bit of a Alt Excel being popped there. I like the play coming in from Devils, so you can see if anyone is going to be in the vicinity, and if you need to, you can immediately toss down that exhibit. But this is a power position that players are going to be trying to lock down, and it doesn't look like they were checking their 6s in front of them, and some great burst damage from Loggy onto the Valkyrie in front of them.
Oh, if Loggy had just waited maybe another half second, the 3-2-1 would have been there as that Nox gas grenade comes out, but they're just going to run right past it. Team Mystic now right on top of this. Caustic will be able to finish off Optical. That was one of the teams in the area looking for that quick rotate, but TM picks that one up. Yeti takes a lot of damage there. Will have to take some time to hit up the bats, but Loggy and Nia are not worried about it whatsoever. They don't know that there is a player underneath them. They deal with the threat ahead of them. That's Twitch Pig falling, and now as they go for that 3-man peak, that's going to be University of Arkansas losing out on their team Obsidian. We're now down to half the lobby remaining. 10 squads here as CLG looking for a fight here at Landslide.
That has to feel good for Team Mystic. Back-to-back team fight wins. More aggression coming in over towards the Landslide area. Curious to see which team this is going to be. Having the high ground on top of that platform is going to be big. This is going to be Atlanta Premier. 2 beasts of teams going at it. Great shots there from Enemy with the 2x scout. Now they have them completely split, and you can see just the lack of recoil that happens with that 2x. Well, you don't get the range of, say, the 2-4 or the 3. Makes it fairly easy to locate where these players are at.
Yeah. AP, though, did use all of their utility in terms of ultimates. I believe they already... Oh, no, never mind. They've got that exhibit down. They've already used the Beast of the Hunt, though. Now the Micro Jones does connect onto Enemy, so he's just going to wait this one out as Crook does need to heal up for himself. He took a lot of flesh damage there. Maybe they're out of heals, unfortunately, because he is not healing. They're just hoofing it now, and he's actually leading the charge for his team, which could be a little bit dangerous here. But they take a quick moment to show us their wall bounces as another team ends up showing up. So it was a good call for Atlanta Premier to actually disengage from this fight and start moving on. It was E8 on their heels now, looking to pick up where AP left off.
Yeah, taking on over this platform area. And again, you can afford to do this early into the game, right? Especially when you have this Valkyrie composition. And that's why these 3 legends are just so viable. You can take team fights. Valkyrie's great at skirmishing as well. But if you need to disengage, if you need to get out, you can completely do so. Atlanta Premier, they've played this game before. They understand the timing behind everything. And Jamerson, you were talking about how much time and precision really matters in these situations. E8 just a little bit late to the party right there. And E8 is going to now back off away from the situation as Atlanta Premier did as well. And this is where things, again, should temporarily slow down, right? Once the lobby has already had those initial 50-50s, Atlanta Premier maybe bounced back and came to the platform again to see what was up. But now we're going to jump on board with LG to find out where they're fighting at, and that's going to be across from Lava Siphon at the no-name area.
Yeah, they're on top of the respawn beacon building right now as Black Hand. Actually, Voltic gets a knock for Foot Esports there onto Pistillo. Now Foot Esports with the man advantage, still buying a little bit of time for Voltic to hit up that Phoenix kit. They're not ready to push quite yet. They will have that gravity lift shortly to try and challenge them, but all this time, that's time that they could get a res on the other side. So Foot Esports kind of losing out on this. Never mind, there is the air burst nade to finish off this Stilo, and now they try to scramble for safety. Voltic actually gets taken out there, and it looks like Foot Esports will still have the man advantage, but they've got to be careful. Backing away as that two-man, they don't have Voltic, they don't have that gravity lift to really try and get him to safety. Guhiak chasing after him, entering into that grav lift as well. Foot Esports ends up losing out on Voltic, so Jaguars will go ahead and secure that thirst.
Good thing is you can get the banners immediately, and then you have two different respawns that you could elect to hit. But what a great job of recovering there from Foot Esports. You thought that they were going to be able to drop them, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. It's LG coming back around the corner. Two weak players, Yanya and Jaguars, and the PK now starting to connect there for Kuya. The initial damage was onto LG, and it looks like LG says, no, we're going to take this 2v3 directly towards Yanya. Coming in, he has the support in the chat, and now he's got his team back on his back. The res going to come in onto Jaguars. Pistillo's banner directly in front of them, and again, the two respawns. Plenty of loot directly in front of them. Big plays from LG.
Team Mystic taking their second fight inside of the train tunnel right now, trying to gatekeep this squad coming in from the northern side. We do have that exhibit down, but so does the other squad. So all their movements are known. Scan coming down as well. Nagini gets that bat off, but Logan needs some time to heal up as Nia goes for that peek on out. The PK not quite connecting, and now they're starting to eat some ring damage here. Hill ends up finding the knock onto Logi, and now it's down to a 3v2 as the scans continue to come out for them. Atlanta Premier got to make short work of Team Mystic in just a moment, but they're not going to let this fight get away from them. They don't want to get caught off guard on that reset, so they go for the heals first. Hill will go down ultimately to E8 coming up from behind, and that's why they needed to take that moment to go for the reset. The third party is already here for E8.
What a smart move there from Atlanta Premier, though. They make their way around the corner. They understand that they can move in with the zone, and they knew E8 was coming directly towards them, but more teams coming into the fray. Vizio now trying to do some gatekeeping. Unfortunately for them, it's just a duo, and they're a little bit late.
Yeah, they do at least secure that one kill point for themselves, or will in short work. E8 should be coming up behind to at least secure that thirst. Oren has to be careful himself because they are just a two-man up against E8 who are looking to try and full send every single fight, and they have the scans to tell them that they're a two-man. It's CLG, though, looking to get opportunistic inside of the tunnel for now. So it's round number 3 inside of the tunnel. CLG finding one out on their own. We do have that exhibit going down. There is the Seer Q catching Mamba in that one for now, but you can see that almost the entirety of Elevate has been caught inside of that exhibit, except for that one player playing the off angle on the left-hand side.
So many teams making their way on over towards this train tunnel. You weren't expecting 4 or 5 teams to come over here. They made their way all the way from Landslide, Jamerson, towards this area, almost mirroring each other's moves the entire way. Atlanta Premier was able to get away with 2 of the players, I believe. I'm not even quite sure if I saw the thirst on the kill feed play yet, so they maybe even were able to get the res. Big burst damage from Nano.
Nano Fries hard carrying right now as he gets the second knock onto Depressley. Unfortunately, Elevate about to get knocked out here in about 8th place. CLG, though, will they be able to finish off that last member? It looks like they were able to escape towards the south side of that tunnel. They're just going to secure their thirst onto E8, and it's Sung coming out from Vizio, securing that final kill onto Golden. So E8 knocked out now, and their tournament chances looking quite dire here. Going into the final game of the day for CLG, though, they're looking for a big pop-off game in our second to last game of the day.
What a pace that we've seen in this tournament. Hopefully y'all are enjoying it wherever you're watching from. This is the ReWired Fest. It's a LAN at the Bud Walton Arena. $25,000 up for grabs. $13,000 for first place. We've seen some serious gameplay today, especially from teams like KCP. But right now, that's a look at your map to find out which teams are available. And a majority of them, Jamerson, are in the running for the money.
Complexity, KCP, Vizio, Atlanta Premier, Enemy still writing things out, but Sung might have spotted him. We've got Esports Arena as well over at Epicenter. There's the scan out for Sung. That's why this was already hard in the Seer meta to try and wrap things out. But when you got Seer and Bloodhound as well, Well, there it is. KCP actually stealing that last kill away from Sung. The KCP, they're already loving things. They've made top 6. They've got a kill point to their name. They're already the lobby leaders. Now they're just looking to finish strong to get that 13K bonus.
And I love the position from them. We talk about this fairly often in Apex, that you want to have your back clear and keep all of the action in front of you, because then you're able to react to the mistakes that other teams are making. Another fight taking place, this time between CLG and Complexity. It's going to be Shiny getting knocked. Knox coming in from both teams, 2-on-2 straight up. Demi has the wingman, has the Volt, looking for some more action directly in front of him. Monsoon should be alive. Lux still alive as well. It's a nice grab lift from Nano to get Mamba back on over, but there comes the aggression from Monsoon. It's double grab lifts, and the 2-on-2 continues to go down. You have to connect these wingman shots if you're Demi. The problem is you don't have the extended mag, and Complexity is doing a great job of sticking together.
Yeah, Demi versus Lux there at the end, and now they should be able to get Shiny up. Never mind, here's the third party, LG, finding their way into this fight, and they've already got the man advantage, but Jaguares takes a big heady there, has to back off. Really keeping them at bay. Pistillo took a lot of damage as well, so they need to hit the bats, but it looks like it's going to be the Phoenix kit for Jaguares, of all things, despite having such a huge advantage in this fight. But I think they're just happy to try and secure that thirst. It looks like Complexity will fall down in 5th place. Now we're down to our final 4 squads. We know that there's a duo around, and that's Team Vizio. We're able to survive until the top 4. We've got KCP as well, the only team inside of the zone currently, or well, the next zone, and ESA just on the outskirts there, playing off of Epicenter, who can just walk in with this one. But this is such an awkward position. 4 squads still in such a massive zone.
We saw this very similar in our World's Edge games yesterday, where Vizio as a duo was working their way over towards these final top 3 teams. Now KCP, again, keeping everything directly in front of them. They have the weapons to do it. Flatline, wingman. Interesting combo for Serdell, but it's going to work. That flatline's going to give you the 3x scope on it, so you could go and look across the map to find out exactly where these players are going to be coming from. That should be ESA over down towards the replicator, but if KCP can secure a big win here, that's going to really set them apart and set them up for success to take first place overall.
Yeah, you can see though KCP aren't tunnel visioning on ESA underneath them over at Epicenter. They are keeping tabs of all the teams around. Verhul spots the 2-man above to the north side. That should be Team Vizio. They know that ESA is there, and they think that the fight might be actually breaking out over at Epicenter. In the 4-team engagement, you take the fight that's ahead of you. You don't try and go for the third party. You just try and take the clean one, and this is the better one for them. This is the 3v2. Verhul's trying to chase them down, but it looks like Vizio will just go ahead and back away.
Yeah, smart from Vizio, and it makes you wonder what would they've done with a 3-man squad here. They lost out on one player that was KCP that took them out over towards the Lava Siphon area, but now we're on the complete opposite side of the map, over towards the Climatizer Epicenter side, and KCP has so much of the zone to work with. Jamerson, they're going to have to really spread out here and have a huge presence.
And the thing is, the game has been so slow for them that they haven't even used up all their utility. You can see you got a frag grenade along with that arc star for Verhul, so they do have that potent singularity nade combo. Pistillo goes down. Nasky picks up an extra kill for his squad. LG scrambling up against ESA right now. LG does find one, and it's Sung from Team Vizio that snipes away one more. So both of these squads, ESA, not going to be long for this world as Verhul finds one more onto Fury, on the verge of bringing us down to our final 2 teams, KCP versus Team Vizio. The way this all started, that's how it's going to end, and it's going to be KCP looking for another victory. They should be able to make short work of this right now. Nasky spots him below him, has the PK out for the 93. He does fall to the massive, but it's KCP taking another win on the day.
More than enough damage there from Nasky with the PK to be able to buy his teammates time to filter around. And again, the fact that they took out Blitz extremely early in this game just comes back to pay dividends. They continue to put in work today. A team on the outside of the top 5, now looking poised to take first place overall and win $13,000.
Yeah, long-term investment. That's definitely an ROI, getting the plus 12 at the end there. They did a great job in the mid-game of being able to snipe some kills away from range. They picked up, it wasn't the highest fragging game for them, but it's a win nonetheless, and they were already in the lead. So another top victory for KCP. They were already in first place by a decent margin, we noted at the beginning of the day, Tom, and now, honestly, as long as they don't brick, I don't think they have to worry. And even if they do, maybe they just secure first place anyhow. Well, we're going to have to send it on over to Fallout and Stella to break that one down for us, as we have one final game remaining after this. So Fallout, Stella, take it away.
Never again will I doubt the Kansas City Pioneers. Lesson learned here, loud and clear. Nasky.
Did you doubt them?
I did doubt him yesterday. Oh yeah, I was doubting him. Well, I don't know if doubted. I called him out for underperforming, and then they turned up today. That was insane. It's nuts what they're doing today.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, they were just able to hold high ground for so long, and they rotated into circles so early on that they were just able to dominate that ground. Again, make themselves feel like a big presence so that no one else would ever challenge their ground that they were holding.
Yeah, and that's the thing, now that they're rolling as a team, obviously it took them a couple games to mesh, and by a couple, I mean 4. I mean, yesterday they were really, I think they still snuck within the top 7. They got a couple kill points here and there, and they're able to take advantage of that Trials loot. But the difference today has been a combination of 2 things. 1, Nasky's IGLing and his ability to get them into God spot and good positioning late game. 2, their performance. I mean, they're lights out today. I mean, you saw yesterday, Dell, there's a couple missed wingman shots. You saw, Nasky missing a couple shots that's not really used to seeing. But today, all 3 of them are playing lights out. That combined with Nasky's IGLing and them just meshing as a team, they are scary. And they're in first. They were in first by 20 points last game. That with another first place finish and high kill game, it's going to be at least 30 to 50 points that they're going to have an advantage in. And you didn't see complexity in the top 3. ESA doing a good job staying relevant though.
Yeah, I want to point out that ESA did go out at 3rd, which is great for them. I mean, considering the series of games that they have been having on Stormpoint. So they are slowly progressing upwards, which is good, but unfortunately it's just not enough, this being the last game that we're going into. But yeah, KCP has just been absolutely dominating at being able to get into circles and rotations early, which is so crucial, especially on World's Edge where the rotations happen so quickly. I mean, I also want to point out that LG did a great job on winning out a 1v1 on Foot Esports, and they also did a great rotation. Yeah, they did such a great job at being able to recover their teammate as well, because they were going to be operating as a duo, but they actually ended up getting their 3rd back in very late game and getting them kitted again, which is fantastic.
Yeah, making it to late game. We'll take a look at the replays here. I hope we have a chance to see that. I mean, it wasn't just a 1v1. It was a 2v3 as Pistillo went down very, very early, and they weren't even going to get that res. And Yanya, alongside the new member of this team, Jaguares, which, by the way, is Spanish for Jaguars, and none of y'all would have guessed that. Wow. Talk about a great showing as a team of 2 and a great example of why they picked up Jaguares. And for those that don't know, Jaguares actually comes from All Glory Gaming. Before then, he was in Legacy MX. So he's been kind of a top contender, probably top 5 player from Mexico, but really slept on. He competed in Pro League and competed in ALGS online tournaments. He's someone that you kind of knew was next, and a big decision, dropping Enemigo, picking up Jaguares, and boy, oh boy, does it look like it's going to pay off. In their debut as a duo, they looked really, really sharp. I can't wait to see what this team can do with Yazul in the grand scheme of things here. Yazul, Yanya, and Jaguares looking great. Meanwhile, it was Mystic here in the mid game. Great teamwork and great kill points. And here it is. This is a 3v2. I mean, look, all full shields, full health. Couple missed wingman shots. You see a quick push and knock coming through right there, and then the damage. Look at this team of 2 play. Kuya gets tagged up for about 75, maybe make it 80 HP, and because of that, the beautiful Horizon Q, and able to secure the 1v1 win here and get Kuya damaged enough to not be able to contribute, giving them a 2v1 opportunity, and immediately they come back and take that 2v1 over Taylor, leaving Yanya in a 1v1 over against Kuya. That was just insane.
Yeah, it just goes to show you really have to fully commit. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can't hesitate and you can't turn back. You have to be able to fully commit on a play. Even if you feel like it's wrong, you might get lucky and be able to catch out the enemy team off guard. And that's something that we just saw there, that there was that hesitation and that cost them that fight that they totally could have won there.
Yeah, hesitation for just a split second ended up costing them, but ultimately not hitting shots. And I don't even say it was Foot Esports choking as much as it was LG making plays. That team of 2 duo debut with this new LG roster, as I've mentioned. Meanwhile, CLG with 6 squads remaining. Mamba goes down. Nano and Dimmy left in a 2v. And great flank here, but not the execution. Missed wingman shots has been the name of the game on LAN. And, when you're in the comfort of your own home, you're in your living room, you're hitting those wingman shots. You're not hitting those on LAN, though, necessarily. That's obviously a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and in this clip, we see how KCP was just able to hold so much ground here, make sure that no one else could ever challenge them on the height. I mean, even though we do see here, I do believe it was Nasky that does end up going down, but he still had his two teammates up and able to pinch from behind because they were able to coordinate. You know, the comms were going off. You know that they were communicating exactly what their moves were. And all Nasky had to do was distract for a little bit, and then his teammates come in and clutch it up.
Yeah, that's right. And that was a perfect ultimate, is really what it was. Perfect seer ult, gave them the footsteps knowledge, perfect black hole coming in, and was able to trap one and get those early kills. And Nasky did more than enough damage to allow his teammates to secure that final kill. In the end, well, KCP dominates. Let's take a look at the leaderboards and see how dominant they truly have been and where they currently stand when we get to the second page here in just a moment. But first things first, walk us through the first page, Song.
Yeah, so Mystic actually is 11th.
Yep.
Really close. Aurora is back in 12th place, and Girls Got a Game in 13th. Not too far. They could totally take, I think they could take Mystic's spot here, but we do see that Purple Rain and Inferno, they are taking the 16th and 20th place here, which is unfortunate, but we did see that Team Mystic was able to take out Inferno.
That's right. And on the front side, we mentioned 30 to 50 point lead, about 30 points. KCP up over Complexity. But look how neck and neck it is. I mean, at this point, it's kind of a four-horse race between Complexity, ESA, Atlanta Premier, and LG. You could probably throw Vizio and E8 in that, so actually make that a six-horse race for top three, because KCP has just such a lead. And really, Jamerson said it best, as long as they don't brick here in this last and final game on World's Edge, they should have this in the bag. A really, really great start for the Kansas City Pioneers in their debut under the gold and black. The organization here coming out of Kansas City. Big congratulations to them and how they've shown up so far. But the question is, can they finish? Something tells me the answer to that is yes, because I told myself I will never doubt them again.
Yeah, I also want to point out that ESA is actually very close to taking second as well. So I really hope that they found their groove. I mean, we're back on World's Edge, which is where they were really showing up. So hopefully they're able to turn around to this last game. But again, is it too late? Who knows? We're not really quite sure because Complexity has been outperforming really well today. So we'll see how this last game goes.
That's right. And I took a look down at my phone, this time muted. Thanks, T-Squared, for calling me out on that, brother. I respect it, though. Made me chuckle. KCP's very own Eddie, who's the kind of talent scout GM, I believe, of esports at Kansas City Pioneers, saying, this wins for you, legend. I've been chatting with those guys for quite some time as they were scouting rosters. Boy, oh boy, did the Kansas City Pioneers not pick the right roster. I mean, geez. GMT Esports, top 5 at ALGS champs with a substitute in Rambo, and now playing with a substitute in Verholst. But really, that core duo of Nasky, Serdell, so good. Just wait, my friends, competitive Apex fans. Strafey rejoining this team from the Ukraine, obviously couldn't make it to this event, but boy, oh boy, they're going to be scary. But looks good, looks up for the Kansas City Pioneers to win this one. But yeah, you're right, you said it. ESA is playing really, really well, and like we said, 6-horse race. Vizio, E8, ESA, Atlanta Premier, Complexity, and the like, all fighting for the extra prize pool of top 3. And Complexity has an opportunity here to potentially, Stella, take this one over KCP if they can have a huge game. And by huge, I mean they got to do something miraculous.
Yeah, I mean, on Storm Point, we saw them being extremely aggressive, being able to move very quickly, and maybe they're a little less confident about that on World's Edge because it is smaller, so you might run into more teams in different POIs. Whereas on Storm Point, you're able to isolate fights, taking one team in one POI, then moving on, and being able to fully recover. So maybe we are seeing a little bit of hesitancy from Complexity, but I would like to see that same level of aggressiveness because they are a very strong team. They are able to take a lot of team fights head to head, even with full health. And we've seen each of their team members be able to hold out their own in individual fights. So yeah. I want to see them bring back that aggressiveness. Yeah,
we know Complexity thrives in that fast-paced play style. I'm excited to see what they can do. They obviously abandoned Newcastle just to play with that more aggressive team comp. We'll see how Complexity and the like fares. The biggest story here is a fight for the top 3 and second and third in particular, as the Kansas City Pioneers have a 26 or 27 point lead right now in this lobby. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the ReWired Fest presented by Monster Energy. By the way, someone told me I had to drink a Monster earlier. Yeah, this can has been destroyed. Big shout out to every single one of y'all watching right now. It is our last and final game. Blow it up in the chat. Let us know who you want to win. Complexity, Vizio, E8, LG, and the like, as we go ahead and throw it back to our casters for our 10th and final game. Jamerson, T-Squared, take it away.
Thank you so much, Fallout and Stella. And now, Tom, it comes down to this one final game. You have KCP currently leading by about 25 or 26 points, but we have to remember Complexity have had 2 games so far across the last 9 where they're able to put about 28, maybe 29 points on the board. So it's not out of the question, but it just comes down to KCP maybe surviving until top 15, top 10, and that's going to be a nice $13,000 payday for them.
Yeah, realistically, what we need to look at is the 50-50 that's taking place over towards Lava Siphon. Is Vizio going to go and try to play spoiler, or is KCP maybe going to back off a little bit and say, hey, this is the only way that we could potentially lose? The good thing for KCP is that Lava Siphon's such a big POI, and they've already won the 50-50 in the previous game, that there's really not much to worry about if you play it disciplined. And that's why you practice, that's why you talk about these scenarios beforehand. I think that's what their #1 focus is, because without that, you're not going to be able to play the game after that. So it's all about taking it a little bit slow here. Let the rest of the lobby try to catch up to you and take advantage of that giant lead that you've already built up for yourself.
And the other thing is that the drop spots here on World's Edge, they're kind of working out towards like the usual meta weight, right? 2 teams going over towards Skyhook. There's only 1 there, and it was Team Mystic that ended up getting Skyhook all to their own. So if they wanted kind of maybe a quieter drop spot, they don't want to contest Team Vizio, there's an opportunity for them to go over towards Skyhook, maybe take trials, then play a little slower game from the north-hand side. But KCP has been doing an amazing job today. Day number 2, absolutely fired off, especially with the performance coming out from their sub in Verhulst, who has been amazing in our last 5 games on the day. But it's coming down to one final one. We're loading up for World's Edge in just a moment, and when we do, the dust will be settled in about 25 short minutes. Here we go, loading into our final game of the day. KCP are current leaders, Complexity down by about 25 points. Have the work cut out for them if they want to make that 7K bump. Remember, first place walks away with 13,000. Second place walks away with 6. So that is a huge difference, and you know that Complexity want to play for that bump.
And that's who the pressure is on, right? As much as KCP wants to feel the pressure being in first place, they built themselves that lead. The real question is can Complexity continue to have a great game? And if they take too many fights and they end up getting third-partied, that's going to allow the rest of this lobby to potentially take over second place. So really the toughest spot is Complexity, because they need to have that pop-off game like they had previously. It starts with that potential 50-50 over towards Lava Siphon. But if you haven't seen a final game in these type of moments, get ready for the fastest pace game that you've ever seen. The final one of the night is always an absolute bloodbath. I cannot wait to see what these players have in store for us. And here is KCP with their POI being taken.
It looks like they're actually in the all clear. You can see Verhulst scanning around, and Team Vizio want none of that smoke, especially with the armors that they have already picked up. A purple for Nasky, a blue in the hands of Verhulst. They haven't even checked the gondolas quite yet. We know how well kitted you can get coming out from Lava Siphon here, and this is just the beginning for KCP. All they need is a few more points, and that's $13,000 for them. Game's a little slow right now, surprisingly enough, off launch. It's going to be Team Vizio actually making the change and the transition on over towards Fragment West. But there it is, the first frag of the game. It's going to be CLG's Nano picking up that knock onto Matrix.
Yeah, Nano popping off. He's had himself quite the day. CLG, unfortunately, not really in the running to get inside the top 4 unless they have a crazy game. That's a great way to start it. They're going to find University of Arkansas Apex. They get eliminated in last place. Now Vizio a little bit on the ropes. It's going to be an E8. You also have Complexity on the opposite side of Fragment if they want to get involved.
Uh-oh, the rooftop is taken there, but that's a nice heady coming out from Borden on that last little shot from that grab lift. They still have to deal with a man disadvantage, though, as he goes for another peek here. Borden hasn't even healed up, tries to go for another cheeky door peek here, as they're not quite connecting with these shots. Playing around the door is this enemy Valkyrie. This entire time, though, Sung is bleeding out, and that is going to be Presley from E8 getting that knock. Now there's only Blitzen remaining here. The gravity lift has been used, and that's E8 knocking out Vizio.
Nice job from E8. Vizio, unfortunately, just couldn't find a good landing spot in these final 2 games. They lost out on Blitz early when they landed against KCP. Complexity, we mentioned how they were over towards the Fragment East side. They try to get involved, but they're a little bit too late. It looks like they're just going to take their loot and continue to find a better place and a better opportunity to go and take that fight. But nice job overall. In an unfortunate situation, I mean, Jamerson 50-50ing, longbow 30-30, not the ideal start.
He did some decent damage, but you can see why it's so difficult to play CQB with that kind of combination. 4Foot Esports, though, over here at Big Mod, they've already gotten the first knock onto Team Aurora. I believe Gretsu was the one that went down. Atlanta Premier finding a fight of their own, but it's Foot Esports now left in a 3v2. Kuya looking for that flank. Taylor looking to come in as well. Now they get a nice exhibit to go down, but they do back away from this one. And now Foot Esports clearing that will go ahead and push up to try and secure the +3 for themselves. Foot Esports still in contention for a top finish here. We'll see where they place, but getting the +3 will definitely bolster their chances as Taylor gets one more knock. That's Krebs going down and only one player remaining for Team Aurora, and Foot Esports will knock them out. Nice try, guys, as Girls Got a Game also goes down to Atlanta Premier at the end. X-Rocker looking for a third party here, Tom.
And Stella mentioned this previously. Big Mod is such a great spot to go and get your loot. Now Complexity gets involved in the kill feed as well. Things started to heat up here on World's Edge in our final game of the ReWired Fest. R99, so powerful in these type of situations. I love the flank, and look at the spray. 119 to the back of the Valkyrie.
He wants to try and push up, but we do have that Q coming out, and he was the only one caught on it, allowing Nutella and Pupsky to come in from behind, but it's a 2v1 peek. Pupsky is left by himself as Foot answers back. And now it's going to be, I believe, a 2v1 here for Tommy. He is full HP as he goes on in. Gets the 132 knock onto Voltic down to a 1v1. But the HP bar still extremely close. See Tommy now hitting up the cells. He can full heal for this one. Playing around the knockdown shield. Do you want to put your best foot forward? Do you want to make sure you're full HP throughout all of this? Now, he doesn't have, unfortunately, maybe a shotgun to work with, but the R9 might be enough. The Arcstar is there, forcing him back. Now he's taking height once again. About to run out of heals. These are the last 3 cells for him to use in this 1v1.
Yeah, tough. You don't want to go for the banner there. That's going to stop with the animation. I like the play to use the jetpack, consistently make sure that that R99 is going to be reloaded, but the enemy player is doing a fantastic job. It's Kuya of using the knockdown shield. He's going to go for the full heal. Meanwhile, Nano with the double arc star knock coming through. Big PK shots for Kuya, and that is just a sliver of HP away. That's more than enough to go for the res. It looks like it's just a little bit of a bait and switch, and it's some great back and forth coming in between Foot Esports. Also, EA Golden with the Arc Star knock. Arc Stars all over the place. You get an Arc Star, you get an Arc Star. That's the third Arc Star tossed in just a matter of seconds. Tommy now going to go for the armor swap here, and he is able to get the banner, but not able to get the armor swap. The battery being popped, the PK shots coming through, and that's Kuya with a huge clutch for Foot Esports.
Yeah, and that's why things were looking so bad in that 1v1. When you're fighting over the knockdown shields, you want that PK, the big burst, the poke out. And now Team Esports Arena, they are getting beset upon. They do have that enemy exhibit down here. As Phony Head goes for the peek, they are stuck down underneath them here. And Arcstar out for Phony Head. So we'll go ahead and force them out of position. But for now, Esports Arena will go ahead and survive this push as LG find themselves in a fight. Looks like ESA will go ahead and push on out, and that team does not want to deal with them. ESA now forces them away. They have control over this building, but another team ends up showing up from the north side. Wondering if this is Team Mystic rotating into them.
Could be coming in from that Skyhook area that you previously mentioned. Definitely a very popular rotation to come on over towards this beacon building. Now we see what CLG's up to. Nano had his pop-off moments. They also had the big team fight win over towards the Fragment West side, and now taking a priority position over towards this Countdown side. Now, Countdown surprisingly unlooted. Not quite sure if anyone even made their way over here.
Yeah, CLG, but they're already looking good in terms of the loot. The triple purples for themselves as they're looking to hunt things down. That's really going to be their only opportunity. They need to pick up almost the rest of the kills in the lobby if they want to make it into the top 4. And they do see a fight ahead of them. They are not slowing down for anything. E8. Looks like this was the squad on the other side of the fight versus Esports Arena, who were inside of that beacon building. They're currently sitting on blue armors across the board, unfortunately, though, so that leaves them at a slight disadvantage, but they have the positional advantage against them. Multiple teams actually rotating in right now as they're taking shots from long range. ESA ends up taking out a knock as ReWired will go down. Jaguares finds one more for himself for LG, but E8 now still looking for these kills. This is another squad that needs to frag out, that needs to find kills in this game.
And I love their team fighting capabilities. I feel like they could have played even hyper-aggressive, more aggressive throughout all of these situations. Mercy, he goes for a scan, but he's not able to locate that. CLG goes behind him now with the missed shots from Dimmy. Everybody understands where the aggression's coming from. Exhibit ends up going down for Mamba. kills having to come through from the opposite side, but there are 3 teams, possibly more, in this area.
Yeah, and it's going to be CLG with one of the clear advantages. Purple's across the board versus blue across the board on the E8 side, but it doesn't matter when Golden gets a knock like that. But it is from range. Nano, unfortunately, has to back away, but they've done enough to at least dissuade them. So they'll be able to get the res as now E8 want to try and pressure, but it's a little bit late. They still need to reset on the other side now as Golden finds the peak. That's 96 damage. Singularity comes down and it's instantly cleared out from Golden. Mercy takes a lot of damage there, so he needs to heal up, and now they're getting shot up from behind. E8 getting taken down here. Only Golden remaining. That's going to be CLG cleaning them up. ESA coming in for the third party, though.
Third and fourth party is being introduced over here. Honestly, there's so many squads that are waiting to pounce on this, and just a minor mistake there. I mean, that initial knock, while it was great, you're charging right into a Seer ultimate. Everybody knows exactly where you're coming from, and you have to use your Seer scans on your backhand side to make sure that you're even clear to take that fight to begin with. As you see LG continuing to pop off, they really want to get inside that top 4.
Importantly for LG, that was a third party, it looked like, as they were able to get a knock onto an AP member as well. And so AP might be going down fairly shortly here. 4th team Complexity coming in for what? I can't even keep track of it. The 5th party at this point, not able to find anything. Once again, the timing just not there for Complexity. This has been their second opportunity to try and find kills, but now this game is getting away from them. KCP is still alive. There's almost not enough kills left in the lobby to try and overtake KCP.
Yeah, KCP now really just letting the rest of the lobby, like you said, dog-eat-dog situation. This is how we anticipated this would go, Jamerson. They rotated Lava Siphon out on over towards Tree into Thermal. That's how safe they're playing. If this was any other game besides game number 10, the final game of the night, under the circumstances, they would be looking for team fights. But right now, it's up to Complexity, LG. The squad's trying to secure the top 4. The squad's trying to take over first place. And teams like ESA that have been also popping off in the kill feed with their style of play. But look at this. On that mini-map, ESA about to meet up with Complexity.
And AP getting chased down by LG. I believe there's just a 2-man now, as LG with a full 3 trying to chase after them. They did a lot of damage here, but they are sneaking by. You can see the gravity lift being used by either side. That's good gold armor, so they can go for the quick resets with the small heals there. But that's going to be the gravity lifts being used, and so it doesn't seem like anyone took that high ground. It was a complete reset coming out from AP, pushing into the tunnel. LG not really trying to throw anything away at this point. And so we're now left with 10 squads remaining. Our first time actually talking about the zone, and this one is pulling over towards the western side of World's Edge. LG, good for not chasing after them because they have another threat coming up behind them and they are ready for it.
Yeah, playing extremely disciplined. Got some legends in the chat. We got Max in there. We have Shiv in there. Shout out to y'all coming through and supporting and staying active in the chat. Now LG trying to lay down some big fire. That's Yenya with the R301 spray, and smart for everybody to break apart right there. Nothing's worse than when you're getting shot at and all 3 of your teammates are just stuck right next to each other in the Valkyrie. I'll always want to try to split up, make it a little bit harder to go and shoot. But LG is on the hunt, Jamerson. You can see from their screens just how bad they want to get inside the top 4.
Yeah, they've got the exhibit as well for this fight. And they that unfortunate CLG drop on Stormpoint where they ended up losing out on that 50-50, the surprise 50-50 really caught them off guard, and now they are playing with the fire in their stomachs at this point. Pastillo taking a lot of damage though, does have to be careful and does drop down, giving up height. For all of this, KCP finds a kill point for themselves, securing at least top 9. That's going to be another 2 placement points, making things harder and harder for Complexity. It's Foot Esports that were spotted out by that LG squad, but this is a position that can be extremely hard to push out. For AP, though, has that 2-man. They're still fighting fights of their own, and they end up taking out University of Arkansas Inferno, now bringing us down to our top 8.
It's a big find there for AP. Every point really being amplified and how much it matters. ESA over towards their original landing spot, over towards Landslide, looking for some blood. Doesn't seem like anyone from the player outlines is in the vicinities, but you can see now someone possibly coming in from that Harvester choke coming through this tunnel where the vault is located, and it's AP as a duo.
And KCP ends up finding a knock onto Nano. You do have Atlanta Premier barreling straight into this trap. But hey, that's your cue. We'll go ahead and let you know you got to back away from this one. They got to be careful because it's LG once again looking to finish the job onto Atlanta Premier. But they're going straight into Landslide where another team is waiting. LG themselves have to be careful because they can get stuck inside of this tunnel, but it might not matter if the fight gets finished here first. They will have options for their rotates if they want to rotate around, but now they can play off the tunnel entrance along with their stairwell. They know that another team is there, and so they will just go ahead and back away and rotate the long way to make their way into Landslide, getting a better look at the ring. So this will continue to pull into Landslide as KCP now making the rotation through the hot springs. They are getting tagged up, but they will be able to back away with that redeploy.
And with those kills and under the current circumstances with the placements, it looks like KCP has secured their way into first place because Complexity needed to catch up with them. And I don't think Complexity is even close to the amount of kill points that they would need to catch up to KCP. That little team fight right there should more than less do it for them. But they're going to now continue to add pressure because they understand, hey, 7th place, we haven't really seen one particular team really popping off quite yet. We could virtually do whatever we want. But how sweet would it be not only to win today, but to end your tournament with a win on top of that in the actual game. Skyward Dive going to be utilized. They have the scan on over towards the next zone. ESA find themselves in a fight, most likely against LG coming out of that tunnel area.
And LG need these points as well. For KCP, it's just a victory lap, but for LG, it's a race to the finish to try and secure top 2 right now, trying to find another fight. But that high ground proving to be extremely difficult to take. They will back away into the tractor for the time being as CLG ends up getting knocked out by Foot Esports here. Demi was the last one remaining for them, bringing us down to 6 squads remaining. Maybe one lone rat running around here as LG will be gifted a nice world drop. We'll see what it get. We'll see, maybe it's a Kraber for the finish. Never mind, it's the Rampage. No one wants any of that, and so LG will just go ahead and back away for now. This ring actually ends up pulling away from Landslide and starts going towards the south side of Countdown, that open ground to the south of it. The train tracks are in play, Complexity are there. Foot Esports currently in a positioning battle up against KCP, who are over at Lava Fissure right now, as Complexity, if they get into a fight, will have an opportunity to come in for a third party.
Yeah, that's a whammy drop right there, unfortunately, as you see what's going on the mini-map. Complexity really the only team inside of the zone locking down that train station area. They're going to be able to focus KCP on over towards the left-hand side. You got Foot directly below them. ESA still dancing with LG over towards that landslide area. And realistically, while Complexity does have a great position, Lux not having any type of scope on this scout is going to be a little bit difficult to keep everybody at bay as they start to charge forward.
And that lone rat, it's going to be from Team Mystic. Nagiti, I forget if that's a blade or if that's a sushi roll, but he is still alive for his squad, keeping them alive. And he's going to be actually on the right side of the mountain. I don't know if he was playing a mobility legend. No, they are not. So he's going to actually be stuck here. He does have that exhibit down just to allow him to rat it out a little bit easier for himself. But we'll see if he tries to play this a little bit safer. You can see Foot Esports, we're looking to try and come in. That's a full 3-man. That might be KCP. On the other side of this one, Foot Esports were able to at least advance onto them. And they have this early position, but KCP have nothing to lose, and they can full send it if they want to.
I just Googled it for you. It means it's a sushi, and it means it translates into 2 fingers. So maybe he's playing on controller and using his thumbs. That could be the next level name coming in from Nigiri. So now we're down to these final moments here. 6 squads still remaining. Verholst with the R301. He's definitely been the MVP of the day. Kill leader in multiple games. Tons of pop-off moments. A 2v1 to win the game on Storm Point. Now the aggression's starting to come in from KCP.
Dell has taken some damage, but they do buy space. That's going to be Complexity on the other side of this fight, trying to hold the line. And if KCP can knock them down, that might actually leave things open for the rest of the lobby to try and secure that second place position. But for the time being, it's going to be LG finding the knocks onto ESA. They knock him out. We're down to our final 5 squads. We've got LG, KCP, Complexity as well. And now Foot getting full sent on by KCP. There it is. Verholst doing it once more, going for the double peak. That's 2 knocks, only 1 more remaining. Taylor will get finished off, bringing us down to our final 4.
Nasky looking for that armor swap. You can see Nigiri still staying alive. Big wins from LG. They take down ESA. They take down Complexity, and they're trying to push their way inside of that top 4. Now it's going to be LG going up against KCP. You can see Mystic trying to stay alive on over towards the side. 5 kills, 6 assists for 5 kills, 6 assists, for Jaguares. This is the final moment and the final game that we've been looking for.
And they've got the ping down on that last red. That's going to be Mystic out in third place. The kill leader now is going to be Jaguares in the final 3v3. Dell takes to the skies with that gravity lift, trying to focus one down, but he gets focused himself. Cracked as Nasky tries to chase after Pistillo, and he does get the knock onto him, bringing it down to a 3v2, but the health bars just aren't there for KCP. Somehow surviving, backing away. There's the clip out from Jaguares, and now it's come down to the 1v1 once again. Verholz doesn't know it's LG that secures the bag here in the final game. LG taking the win in game number 10.
He is human. You thought maybe Verholz, as the last player alive for KCP, was going to be able to clutch it, but it was Jaguares with the one clip in the middle of the open, shooting the missile swarm, swapping targets, and LG with a huge win. I know they have a lot of support in the chat room, so they're going to enjoy that one.
Yeah, what a crazy final game. So much on the line. We had $25,000 there for our top 4, but it is going to be KCP without a doubt taking the big dub, $13,000 for them. Now the big question is who comes in second, third, and fourth. That's the rest of the prize breakdown. Second place walking away with $6,000, and of course third and fourth place will be securing $3,000 each themselves here at the ReWired Festival. $25,000 land was taking place at the University of Arkansas. Once again, shout out to Monster Energy along with Walmart for putting this all on. Now, Tom, do you have any final thoughts about the last 2 days of action?
Man, it's just awesome to be here casting this with you, Jamerson. You know, shout out to everybody that's been in the chat. Shout out to all the players, everybody that worked behind the scenes setting up the event, everyone that's worked behind the scenes on the production, all of our team that's on the talent team, everybody over at EA, Respawn, all of our partners. Absolutely blessed to be a part of this Apex community.
Yeah, once again, thank you all so much for watching. We do have one last analyst segment, of course, to break down our final top 4 teams. So Fallout, Stella, take it away.
Jamerson T-Squared, thank you so much, gentlemen. And again, thank you for a brilliant cast. All 10 games across both days. You both absolutely killed it. And Tom, you basically thanked the entire world. So I don't think I'm going to miss anybody here. We got everyone covered. But no, jokes aside.
No, you forgot someone.
Who do you forget?
Nessie.
I forgot. You got to thank Nessie, Tom. You got to thank Nessie. It's in the handbook. How dare you? Big shout out to Tom. And of course, Jamerson crushing it on the cast. But hey, Stella, last game done and dusted. Obviously, KCP is going to walk away with first. No surprise there. So first things first, we just got to give a major kudos and congratulations to the Kansas City Pioneers, your champions of the ReWired Festival LAN Tournament, live from Arkansas, and of course presented by Monster Energy, sponsored by Walmart and the likes. Really, really amazing work from them. And in their debut, first time under the Kansas City Pioneers banner, they take home a dub. So first things first, congratulations to them. But after that, kind of a big question mark as to who's going to take home second and third.
Yeah, it was really close before we went into the last game. So I'm really curious to see how ESA is going to play specifically, because they were kind of crawling back up on the leaderboard. And I believe that the point difference was only 3, something like that. So we're going to find out just in a second, though. I'm super excited. This is probably the closest second place we've seen in a while.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. First things first. So let's jump right into it, actually. We're going to be on the second page. Congratulations to Luminosity Gaming. They take home second with their coach, by the way, as a substitute. So that is a remarkable showing from them. And honestly, that was my second biggest storyline. Obviously, first is Kansas City Pioneers, their debut as a roster. 2, the debut of Jaguares on this team, showing how talented he is. And it really showed at the end of that last game. That one clip, controller, absolute demon. Really, really great work from him. And it's just something that's honestly just a preview and a prelude, I think. It's maybe some foreshadowing for what we're going to see here, Stella, going into ALGS Pro League. We've been calling this a prelude all weekend long. But LG looking pretty good. KCP takes home first, Complexity third, and ESA will walk home with the last piece of that prize pool on top 4. Congratulations to ESA as well.
Yeah, honestly, man, that's kind of a big upset right at the very end there, because LG actually did end up taking out Complexity in the last game as well, just before they had to face off against KCP, which KCP did a great job of making sure that they maintained the first circle closure and everything. But LG just was way stronger. I mean, they were healthier. They were able to take the 1v1s, and that's what got them the win there.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not just the three of the Mexican boys and on LG, but NME Go, also one of the top Mexican players, former LG, in 4th place, will take home a piece of that prize pool as well. So congratulations again to him, as well as Phonyhead, in I think his first time placing in the top 4 on LAN. Actually, maybe first time competing on LAN, now that I think about it. They didn't qualify for LGS champs. So kudos and congratulations to Phonyhead. Fury sucks. And then, of course, in 3rd place, Complexity with their debut with Luxford, controller player, 17 years old, by the way, and looking pretty good as well here, Stella.
Man, when I was 17, I don't even know what I was doing. This is awesome. Like, congratulations. That is a huge honor. I mean, it's so cool. And also for all these teams, it's really great for them to get practice in a LAN setting specifically, because there just haven't been that many Apex LANs. So any practice you can get, because a LAN environment is so different even from online tournaments. This is incredible to see. I'm so glad that we were able to see this being put on by ReWired Festival. What an incredible opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, big shout out and thank you to all of our partners and sponsors that made this possible. We would not be here without you. And of course, Apex community, please show love to all of these brands, right? The fact that they put on a LAN tournament, they gave us 2 days of entertainment, they put on this prize pool for pro players to compete. Support the brands and support those that support the Apex community. Make sure to head to Walmart, purchase your console for yourself, your family, your loved ones this holiday season. Make sure to support Monster Energy and the likes of the rest of them as well. Big thank you to all of our partners and all of our sponsors. And again, congratulations to the Kansas City Pioneers for taking home a 1st place finish. Notable shout out as well to Atlanta Premier and to Vizio. AP so close, just a few points off of top 4 and placing in the money, but AP looked really good with their new roster as well. Enemy, not to be confused with Enemy Go, on this squad. Also a Mexican American young absolute fragger, looked really good in his first big tournament with this squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they just keep up that same level of consistency they were able to put out on day 1, they're a very solid team. And from what we've seen, they already are working really well together as a team. So they just need a little bit more practice on LANs. So hopefully they can get that opportunity.
Yeah, we got to give a little special shout out to X-Rocker, our only non-pro team to place in the top 10. So they held it down. Team Mystic was right behind them and a few others. But they held it down in 10th place as well. So shout out to them. And as we wrap up, speaking of shout outs, any final shout outs, any final words, Stella, as we wrap up?
I already got mine for Nessie, but also, I'm going to shout out myself, I guess, because next week I am going to be dropping some really cool next season news on Apex, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, yeah, how about you, Fallout?
Oh, I love the plug, by the way. And look, especially if it's for next season news, that's something I'll be refreshing your feeds, just ready for Catalyst. How will Catalyst impact the next season and competitive Apex Legends? A seer counter? Question mark. That's what it looks like from the latest trailer, by the way. So I'm really excited for Catalyst and her debut and her entry into Apex Legends and all that's going to come with the new season and new map. Will it be competitive? Obviously, a lot of really exciting things coming for Apex Legends. The ALGS Pro League is around the corner, so I guess that's my shout out, is just cheers to the success and the growth of Apex Legends. It's the best community in gaming. It's not even a question. And a big shout out and heartfelt thank you to every single one of y'all in the chat, the entire Apex community, the entire Apex family, as we call ourselves. It's an honor to be a part, and let's keep growing this thing. It's the best game, best community in the world, most inclusive community in the world, and I'm just grateful to be a part. Big shout out and thank you to all our production staff, ESA Esports Arena. They crush it. My first time actually working an ESA event, and I'm excited to work more Series E and ESA events as well. Our producer, K2, and the entire staff, Spirits, everyone else in the ESA team that put this together. Big thank you. And one last thank you to Monster Energy, Walmart, and all of our sponsors, partners that help make this a reality. Congratulations again to the Kansas City Pioneers. On behalf of myself, I'm Fallout, alongside Parallax Stella to my right, left, whatever it is. And of course, our casters, Jamerson, T Squared, Vicky Kitty, and the co holding it down live at the event. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you hopefully next year at the ReWired Festival 2.0. If we run it back, hopefully we'll have a chance to run it back. Have a great night, everybody. And we'll catch you at the ALGS Pro League in just a few weeks. Bye, everybody.